Thank you very much and good morning, everyone. Such a pleasure to have our final Value for Her Networking event here in Rwanda. We are so privileged this morning to be joined by very many high-level guests from Rwanda government, but also from across the continent and also across the globe. I am going to hand over the microphone to the facilitator for this morning, Fiona. Fiona, please come over and take us through the event. Thank you very much and really look forward to this exciting event. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sabdia. Good morning, everyone. To everyone joining us online, it is a pleasure to have you. Thank you very much for making time to be with us. Excellencies, honorable members, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning once more and welcome to Value for Her, Africa's first digital platform for women in agribusiness and for the very first time being launched here in Kigali. Thank you very much for being with us. I'll take you basically through what the agenda is for us today. We have 3 sessions where we will be talking about the institution leaders, CEOs and ministers, where high-level strategic discussions on how institutional programs will be promoting or have been promoting women economic development. This will be moderated by Rika Rwigamba. She is the Managing Director, Mastercard Foundation. Our second session will be in-country finances, commodity buyers, development institutions, and business development service providers. And this will be moderated by Amy from Amy Bila, Economic Growth Office Director, Rwanda, USAID. And then the last but not the least, we'll have the third panel, women-led SMEs, investors, BDS providers, and will be led by myself, Fiona. So without further ado, please allow me to welcome Mr. Jean-Paul Ndagijimana. He is the country manager for Rwanda. Over to you.
Good morning and welcome everyone to this event. We are so delighted as Rwanda to host at the last run this event of Value for Her. It's been run in 11 countries. We are the last one to run it in Rwanda. And I'm so glad we have distinguished guests to help us launch this initiative that I believe will make a significant change in the lives of ladies and women in our country. I'll be brief and share with you what AGRA is doing in Rwanda and how this fits into our strategic vision. AGRA has been operating in Rwanda since 2006, and we have operated in 3 waves now. The first wave was really to build capacity of the country to be able to be prepared for the inclusive agricultural transformation. That wave saw AGRA support a lot of trainings of researchers, building capacity in RAB and Minagri, and starting to prepare the country for a private sector-led agriculture. We then moved to the second wave in 2017 that saw us gearing more towards productivity, bringing more of seeds, bringing more of grain, as many companies had started setting shops in Rwanda and needed to supply and to source their input from Rwanda. Glad to say that that strategy is coming to an end, and we have worked with the government, the private sector, the civil society in making sure at least factories and players in the agriculture sector in this country have sufficient raw material coming from smallholder farmers in Rwanda. As we look forward to our next 5 to 10 years, we are focusing on market, we are focusing on access to finance, we are focusing on really strengthening the private sector involvement in agriculture, and we are starting to roll out initiatives that will help us move towards that strategic direction of really dealing with market problems to ensure that the agriculture sector is inclusive and is thriving. So this is how Value for Her come in play. And Value for Her will focus mainly on women in agriculture, youth, and we will be connecting them, we will be resourcing them, we will be capacity building them. And I'm so excited to see the leadership of AGRA, the leadership of the country, our donors, especially USA that has been in the second strategy with us here to join us, join hands to ensure that the he for she and the value for her continue to be a reality in Rwanda. With that, I will take back to Fiona. And if Rika is not here for the first round, okay, we can proceed. I see Rika, welcome. Excuse me, a small correction. Before we go to Rika, we have online our Vice President for Strategic Partnership, Vanessa Adams. And this initiative falls under her docket. She's based in Nairobi and joining us from there. Vanessa, welcome and thank you for joining us today. Over to you.
Thank you so much. We are absolutely so pleased to be with you all in our new virtual world. I did try and come and join you to be there in person, but it's the way of the new way of doing business. So we're so pleased to be with you all and to actually have online with us as well, participants joining from Ethiopia, from Tanzania, from Kenya and many other countries as they share themselves online. We have, as you know, over the past 4 months, been on a country by country campaign around the International Women's Day, raising the voice of women in agriculture across Africa. And it's been fantastic turnout, participation, and collaboration. We started in Kenya on International Women's Day in early March. With another hybrid session. And we have in every country heard from women entrepreneurs, women in government agencies, women in development partnerships, women from multinational organizations, sharing with us their initiatives, their opportunities, their challenges, their questions. Even globally, we have participation from Switzerland. So this is a focus on Rwanda today. I wanted to underscore a few points. Even though we are so pleased and continue to see engagement and participation on the Value for Her platform, we have now doubled the engagement actually on Value for Her on the platform, connecting women entrepreneurs, now with 1,000 active participants. But we also know there's just not enough support for women in ag as of today, and support and also synergy and engagement. So I have come up with a few principles that I think help us guide our engagements on mobilizing the voice of women in ag and also on increasing the scale and the capacity of women entrepreneurs across Africa. And so from the work that we've done and the research that we've seen, we know a few things to be true and that we have to keep in mind as we continue to increase this visibility and the critical nature of women as they contribute to food systems, by the way, globally. So one thing is that coming out of COVID, we know that entrepreneurship is a grow or die type of business. If your business is not growing, then certainly you're even and barely struggling for survival. And as a result of the struggle that we've seen in COVID, which augmented the struggle which entrepreneurs have anyways, we have launched a particular focus on women training called Arise, training to increase their financial acumen and the capacity of reaching investors, which is actually live, and we have online a course in mid-June, and there's still a few spots. So I hope you're all signing up as we speak. Secondly, as I mentioned, women entrepreneurs and women leaders tend to struggle alone. We have found that, in fact, that struggle alone doesn't actually help. It's coming together. That struggle can enable faster and safer and stronger collaboration. That's the core second principle, which is raising the voice. The third principle that we have, and we continue to see and reiterate, the competition is not you and your neighboring businesswoman. The competition is global. And so we have to keep remembering that with the advent and opportunity of the African Continental Free Trade Area, we want to see an integrated African market having a much, much bigger footprint globally. This brings me to the third and critical point, which is that each of you is now a mentor, a leader. Committing to train, engage, support a few other women is absolutely fundamental to how we as women all became who we are today. And even statistically and technically, we've seen that mentorship is much, much more powerful than just generic training. So I think that for those of you who have seen the growth of some of your colleagues and partners, pick a few women today and make a commitment, 2 or 3, mentor who you can. Don't be nice. We just want tough love. And I know in Rwanda, that should be pretty easy I've been learning from Agnes, so she can talk about tough love. So then next, I want to bring out the 5th point again, which has been this network building. And that is where Agra has been using the deal room, as many of you have participated, using the Value for Her platform, and even the Go Getters competition. And these networks actually are growing. And the stronger they are, the more successful everyone in them will be. Finally, 2 last points. One is that we continue to believe in learning. Even if you're most successful, you've done everything and you think you're at the top, let's be humble and continue to learn. This is critical to growth, and there's no end to what we can learn. And then finally, scale. We don't want this to be about piloting. We don't want to see about only small successes. We want to see an absolutely global transformation, and that's what's required. And we'll hear more about this year. The Food System Summit campaigns and learnings and scientific and action tracks have a ton of evidence about this. So I hope you're all online on social media, tweeting away, choose to challenge, invest in women, and value for her. Have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Vanessa Adams, for that. We appreciate. We now go to our very first panel session for the day, which of course will be moderated by Rika Rwigamba. She's the Managing Director, Mastercard Foundation here in Rwanda, a foundation that focuses on creating employment for youth and especially for women. So I hand over to you, Rika, and then you can call upon your panelists. Thank you.
Thank you, Fiona. Good morning, everybody. And good morning to those online. It's a pleasure and an honor to be facilitating this first panel. This first panel is a hybrid. We have colleagues joining from different parts. I think a true demonstration of the times we are in, but also making this a global gathering. We have Dr. Agnes Kalibata, the president of AGRA, who's joining us from Nairobi. We have Excellency Ambassador, US Ambassador to Rwanda, Mr. Vuman Peter, who's currently in Muhanga, and we'll be hearing a video from him. We have Ms. Akamanzi Claire, the CEO of the Rwanda Development Board. We have Honorable Minister of Youth and Culture. The RDB CEO is currently in our office, so she'll be joining us from our office. With us in this room, we have Honorable Minister of Youth and Culture, Ms. Babazi Rosemary, who I will call upon to join the panel here on stage. Let's please welcome her as she joins, and those online. Also with us, we have Honorable Minister of Gender and Family Promotion, Professor Baisenge Jeanette. Welcome, Minister. Can get close to each other. So thank you very much, honorable ministers. So this first session is really going to be an opportunity for us to hear about this honorable and the work that they're doing for women empowerment, especially in agribusiness. And I will start first with you online, President of AGRA, Dr. Agnes. Women are central to any food systems transformation. They are producers, entrepreneurs, but they are also custodian of household nutrition and preservation of food. You wear two hats, one of the leading African voice in agriculture, and another as a special envoy for Food Systems Summit. My question is, what needs to change to have more women explore opportunities with the food system more holistically? Today we have a global debate going on for Food Systems Summit. So where should this agenda be anchored, and who should take ownership and leadership, and why? Over to you, Dr. Agnes.
Thank you, Rika. And let me start by really appreciating all the people that have turned up today. Thank you, Claire. I know you're extremely busy. Thank you for making the time. Thank you, honorable ministers. And thanks to His Excellency, the Ambassador of the United States to Rwanda, for being part of this conversation, but also for the support to the Rwandan government that has made it possible for us to be running these programs alongside the team of AGRA in Rwanda. And then also thank Claire for hosting our offices. The AGRF offices are now officially hosted in Rwanda. It's a program now that is run as a collaboration between the government of Rwanda and AGRA and AGRF partners. So really appreciate the support we've got. And I would be amiss if I didn't say that this gender program also is something that we are anchoring in the AGRF program, and our head of gender is now based in Rwanda. Is Subdio, who some of you have met, is a world-renowned expert on gender, someone that we should take advantage of. And what I've told the team is, Rwanda has so much to offer. Talk about anchoring things in places. Rwanda has a lot to offer in terms of what we can offer from learning from a gender perspective, the work we've done in terms of designing policies to advance gender, in terms of ensuring that we actually don't just talk about and design policies, we are actually acting on those policies, that's happening. But it's also a good place to advance the agricultural sector and to look at how to look at the learnings in the agricultural sector, because it's one of the most complicated places to run an agricultural sector because of the way the country is structured. So, but the country is making progress in the agricultural sector. So if there's anywhere to learn about how you can get things going, even in the most difficult places, Rwanda provides an opportunity for us to learn, because Rwanda is making advances. Third, and extremely important, how governments run government business successfully. That's something that as a continent we need a lot of. That's something that we've been trying to understand, how we can help governments learn from each other. And that's something from a gender perspective, I hope the team at AGRA, but also the Rwandan government sees it as an opportunity to really take out there and advance from a perspective of how we can help other countries learn from what we've learned. In terms of anchoring the work in the agriculture sector, and maybe even the work for Value for Her, there's a lot that is being done already in terms of ensuring that we support women and women businesses. The AGRF has this as a thematic group, and we will continue advancing this. And again, our choice of anchoring it in Rwanda is not by accident, but really it has to be anchored around the values that we want to help ensure that these businesses have, the capacity that we are transferring to these businesses, and the opportunities to have the right level of frameworks on the ground to advance these things. So again, like I said, we have the opportunity to anchor these in a functional agriculture sector, an opportunity where we get to learn from everything else that is happening around the sector itself, but also around how you advance policy, how you advance action on the ground, and how that provides an opportunity for other people to learn. So I think that the role of gender has been captured, and many of you will keep capturing this, the role of gender in agricultural systems, the fact that 60 in some cases, and in other cases, 50% of the people that are in agriculture sector are women. Businesses that are participating in agriculture sector, women businesses. The fact that they are not the most facilitated, and yet they are already in the business, and we need to find ways of facilitating them is extremely important. So really, I would like to say that what we have picked up here is to ensure that we find ways of giving voice to businesses and women, but also finding ways of ensuring that they have access to knowledge, to support, and to policies that can help the rest of the continent learn how to advance what we are doing in gender. So if there was a good place to anchor this, really for me, it's a place where the three things that I talked about would be available for businesses to advance. And I don't think that there's a better place right now for us to be learning around how to advance gender and agricultural businesses and businesses in general than being able to sit with the ladies you're sitting around in this meeting, the leader of RDB, the leader of agriculture in Rwanda, and the leader of women issues of gender, the Ministry of Gender in the country, where all these things come together and give us an opportunity for us to learn as a continent while advancing the very things we'd like to advance. So thank you for the question. And again, thank you all for accepting to participate.
Thank you very much, Dr. Agnes. And indeed, there's no better place with the panelists, and we have the right discussants. And now we'll give a few minutes to Ambassador Peter, who's able to join us, but for ease of communication, has sent over a video. We can now watch the video. Thank you.
My name is Peter Vroman, the U.S. Ambassador to Rwanda. Thank you for the opportunity to address this distinguished panel of ministers, CEOs, as well as agripreneurs in the audience. I'm proud to be a he-for-she advocate among these leaders. Our facilitator asked me to highlight one aspect of women's economic empowerment: food and nutrition security. What have we achieved, and where should we focus? Well, the obvious answer lies in the question itself. Food is the essential ingredient in nutrition security. Or is it? Professor Amartya Sen debunked the theory that food availability decline is the key factor in causing famine or malnutrition. In a nutshell, entitlement failure, whereby people lack the financial wherewithal to purchase or trade food or gain access or rights to alternative commodity bundles, can lead to malnutrition, stunting, or even famine. Rwanda boasts one of the highest female labor participation rates in the world at 84%. But there are barriers to their profitable engagement in the economy, which is largely based in the ag sector. Our analysis shows that the largest barriers are access to capital and market information, as well as networks and infrastructure. In fact, women's uptake of formal financial services in Rwanda consistently lags behind men's. Only 63% of women are formally served compared to 74% of men. Many women fail in applying for bank loans, or even worse, so many women simply don't apply for a loan out of fear of failing. We should focus on addressing these gaps or perceptions, and I'm confident that my fellow panelists will have great ideas and initiatives to do so. Already, Rwanda has made progress in alleviating stunting levels, as well as developing better seeds, often with agri, and more nutritious foods in the agri-economy. Indeed, USAID Rwanda has put women at the forefront of many of our initiatives to advance female participation in agripreneurship as a way forward. Let me conclude by mentioning one such case, Twororo in Hoko. This is a project, Let's Raise Chicken for Profit, which had a USAID Food for Peace component, as well as a University of Tennessee input in northern region of Rwanda. And here, the introduction of chicken, food diversity, helped contribute to improve food security and nutrition. Moreover, the agripreneurs gained financial resources from the sale of broiler chickens to expand their business, to enhance their economic livelihood, in ways that would directly alleviate poverty. Back over to you, Chairperson, and I wish you a successful forum over the course of today.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Vrooman, for this. One of the things that has been said by Dr. Agnes and Ambassador, and this question is towards you, Honorable Minister Janet. In 2017, the World Economic Forum ranked Rwanda as the 4th best country in closing gender gaps, behind only Iceland, Finland, and Norway. Rwanda's strong political commitment has resulted in significant positive strides in the promotion of gender equality and women's empowerment. How did this enabling environment boost Rwanda get to this impressive position? And we also heard from Dr. Agnes that there's a lot we can learn from Rwanda's stride in this area. And how, as you answer around the impressive position and how we got there, also highlight how we can scale these gains into the agriculture sector.
Thank you very much, distinguished guests. It's a great pleasure for us to be invited to this very important event, Value for Her Networking event, especially because the majority of women in Rwanda work in agriculture, but we still see challenges, especially limited access to extension inputs and technologies. And this is really a great opportunity, as even COVID has shown that we need technology more than ever, especially in this area of agriculture. So you mentioned the report, World Economic Forum of 2017, where we ranked number 4. We have been moving back and forth since this report is released every year. According to the report of 2021, we are ranked number 7 from number 9 in 2020. So this is really a great achievement for us, as only 2 countries on African continent are among the top 10. These include Rwanda, of course, number 7, and Namibia, number 6. So this report look into areas of education, health, economy, and leadership. And of course, in the economy, agriculture is among the sectors that contribute to the economy. So I want really go into detail to see what Rwanda has achieved around those areas, but I will more focus on what has triggered this great achievement, because as the president of AGRA, Kalibata, said, Rwanda is the best place to be for every woman and a girl. So what is really behind this great achievement? First of all, we have the highest political will. First of all, we have the highest political will because after 1994 genocide against the Tutsi, the government of Rwanda, led by the spirit of unity and inclusiveness, adopted a new approach of putting together effort of both men and women to rebuild the country that was devastated. And in order to do this, they have been put in place a strong, sensitive legal framework. That's where we have the Constitution of Rwanda as revised in 2015. That says that at least 30% of places in decision-making should go to women. And all the laws enacted in Rwanda are in line with this perspective. Secondly, there have been strong institutional framework in Rwanda. That's where we have the national gender machinery. And in the national gender machinery, it brings together all those institutions that make sure that gender is mainstreamed across the sectors, but also ensure that the monitoring and evaluation of what is being done across the sectors, both in public and private sector. So that's where we have the Ministry of Gender and Family Promotion. We have national gender machinery, gender monitoring office. We have National Women's Council that ensure the mobilization of women, but also advocacy and empowering women. And we have a FFRP, Forum of Women Parliamentarians. These women have played a big role in revising laws that were discriminating against women, but also helping in enacting new ones. Thirdly, I can talk about the key policies and the programs that we have different policies at the level at the ministry, but also all the policies that are elaborated across the sectors. We make sure that our gender are responsive, since gender is considered as cross-cutting. Gender also is at the center of national planning and strategy. You know, we have national strategy for transformation, NST1, and we have completed Vision 2020. Now we have Vision 2050. Among those key documents, gender is cross-cutting. Also, Rwanda has showed its commitment by joining by making international commitments, but also adopting conventions and treaties. We can talk about SDGs, where I have the goals that specifically talk about women. You've mentioned different speakers who spoke before me, talked about he for she campaign. You know that His Excellency is among the champions. And among the three commitments that he made, and as Rwandans, we have to support these commitments to see them accomplished. And I think this event is one of these initiatives to make sure that there is no gender gap. So in the he for she, His Excellency committed to bridge the gender digital divide and attain parity in ICT access, usage, and innovation. Also, he committed to triple girls enrollment in TVET and advance women employment opportunities. Thirdly, he committed to eradicate GBV in all its forms. So these are really bold ambitions that need concerted efforts. And I think those who we are together here have already signed, and he for she, because Rwanda comes after India globally, or the countries who are supporting this commitment. So by signing, we make commitment to support His Excellency in achieving this. You asked me how we can scale this great achievement in agriculture. So when we look at the statistics, we see that about 63% of women work in agriculture. And the majority of these, around 65%, are in subsistence agriculture. So it's not agriculture for business. So it's agriculture for survival. So we've been working together with other institutions to make sure that this large number of women who are in agriculture do agriculture to benefit and empower them, not only to survive. It is in that perspective that different laws were enacted. We can talk about land law, which was elaborated in 2013. It was for the first time for women to inherit land from their parents, but also to have equal sharing between the spouses. We can see that from the land registration that took place in Rwanda from 2009 to 2013, that 24%, 24.63% of the land in Rwanda registered in Rwanda are owned by women. Here we are talking about women widows, especially are independently owned by women, and 59.9% is owned, registered on married couples. So when we do addition of this, we can see that around more than 8% of the land in Rwanda are owned by women, either independently or jointly with their husband. So this has been a really great achievement, especially because after the genocide, the majority of women had to take care of the family, which was not the case before. So it was important to empower them, at least to give them rights to land, which was the main asset in Rwanda. Through the ministry, what we do also to make sure that gender is mainstreamed across the sectors, including agriculture. Every year during the
planning and budgeting process, we do a gender sector gap analysis, where we see in each sector, including agriculture, what are the challenges, what are the gaps? So what can we do in line with the development programs and documents that guide us in Rwanda, like NST1 2050. So we share these gaps with the RAIN ministries, with the specific ministries who also include this in the planning. So despite all these efforts, we still see there are still gaps, as I mentioned about them. We still see the raw number of women in the value chain. We still see that though women own land titles, we still see gaps in the control, in decision making around how to use the produce from the land. Also, we still see that the gaps I talked about in the beginning about limited access to agricultural inputs and technologies. And this really, it's a great moment for this event to, as we are tackling those issues that we still see for women to be effective in agriculture. And I can conclude by saying that this really need a multi-sectoral approach where all stakeholders, including government agencies, development partners, civil society organization, we do know we have to work together, and we can see that we are in a good move so that we can have women actively participate in agriculture, as we see that the majority of them, that's where they get their survival. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Very impressive progress. And indeed, in Rwanda, we're able to enjoy the conducive environment that have been given to women. And the need for the multi-sectoral approach is definitely how we will solve the challenges. I'll come over to you, CEO of RDB, Ms. Claire. One of the things that a minister has touched upon is the environment, the very conducive environment. As we know, the Rwanda remains the second easiest place to do business in Africa, and it's 38th globally, according to the 2020 World Doing Business, which speaks to the conducive environment. And since 2014, businesses can now register online with ease. In the past years, we've also seen that women entrepreneurship has increased in Rwanda. And this is probably due partly to this environment and the ease of registering businesses. Can you please share with us RDB's journey in enabling women participate in specifically agribusiness? And what lessons would you share with other countries wishing to do the same? Over to you, Claire.
Yeah, thank you very much, Arika, for moderating this session, and good morning to everyone. I was watching the video from Ambassador Vuman, and I saw his background that was very green and very relevant to this discussion today. And I feel a little embarrassed that my background is not as green as his, but very pleased to be joining this discussion today. Thank you very much to President Kalibata and AGRA for organizing this very important discussion around giving women a lot more access and attention, especially in agribusiness. And I think the issue of political leadership has been emphasized both by President Kalibata and also Minister of Gender, Jeanette, who just spoke before me. And I think that's very important. I'd like to reflect on two important elements our President Paul Kagame likes to talk about in his journey of leading transformation of Rwanda. He always says that the most important asset that he has in driving economic growth and development of our country is the people, the human capital. And so in everything that we do, making sure that we optimize the potential of our human capital, of our people, is very important. That's the first thing. The second thing that he likes, when he's asked, how come you are able to see this vision of putting gender as a very key priority for Rwanda's transformation? The president always says, it's common sense. If human capital or people are the biggest resource that I have to work with in transforming my country, and more than half of those resources are women, isn't it just logical and common sense that I have to make sure that I optimize this other half of my resources? Otherwise, I would be operating at half capacity if I didn't do that. And so our journey at RDB is very much intertwined with this national vision and national journey of ensuring that the women are being optimized as resources of human capital that actually drives economic growth. And looking at it that way, I think is really important for us as we think about bringing gender at the forefront of even promoting business. And again, I think the Minister of Gender did talk about some of the institutional reforms that we have to ensure that there's gender mainstreaming in everything that we did. And as she was speaking, she reminded me of my experience last week in Parliament. I had to present RDB's, the organization that I lead, our budget to Parliament and defend it. And I was required by Parliament to make a statement, something that we call the gender budget statement. And in presenting the budget of RDB, I had to make a statement on how RDB's budget was being used in order to promote the gender priority or women businesses. And I was asked questions by parliamentarians and also by the Gender Monitoring Office that was present in the discussion to explain how much money from the budget of RDB I was allocating to women entrepreneurs, supporting training of women, and how many women-owned businesses were expecting or projecting in RDB. And so that level of accountability at the parliamentary level, but also as part of the culture of promoting everything that we do, I think very much speaks to the environment that is needed to make sure that we do this. You don't just do a budget and it's passed by Parliament without showing that there is a gender-based statement that is really going to support that. Now, coming back to this issue of what specifically are we doing in RDB to promote women-owned businesses? And I think maybe just a quick mention of the facts. Today in Rwanda, 42% of enterprises are owned by women, which I think has grown over time. And women-owned businesses, even if they represent 42%, I think the key thing there is that many of them are small businesses. And the challenge is how do we grow these businesses, even if they represent a fair number, 42% of enterprises, but how do we make sure that they grow and also account for the bigger businesses where we see a need to grow? They also contribute 78% of cross-border trade, especially within the region, trade within around the countries here, which is trading with DRC and Burundi and all the countries that are surrounding us. We see women actually are a big percentage of those that are crossing the borders to sell their products at 78%. And we know that that's important because cross-border trade contributes to about 30% of GDP. So women are actually contributing significantly to our GDP. Now, we've also seen that farms that are run by women owners also represent a significant share of employment, and they help to generate economic growth and potential in our country. Now, how do we ensure that we sustain growth of women-owned businesses, but also make sure that they grow so that we see that in the top 100, for example, we see more women representation than is the case today. So it's really about scaling the size of businesses that are owned by women. To do this, what we've been working on as a country is really creating an environment that allows women to grow and also to thrive. Now, a key focus for us at the Rwanda Development Board has been to reform the business environment to make it easy for the most vulnerable small businesses to thrive. Let me give you a few examples of some of the reforms that we've had. Over the last 10 years, we've specifically made reforms in 50 interventions across different areas. And I'll probably just talk about the main ones. Many of them have been around how do we reduce the time that small businesses take in acquiring the procedures to do business, to start a business, but also to undertake businesses once they're operational. There've also been reforms around how do we reduce the procedures and the processes so that it's convenient, so that this small owned business by a woman is not going to run around through institutions and bureaucracies and red tape in order to access a service. How do we cut that down and make it really convenient and also make it really straightforward so that these women and also other small businesses can really spend the time learning and growing their businesses, not running around institutions. And also to do that, how do we make sure we put in place the systems that specifically address the challenges that women entrepreneurs have? And I'll come to examples of all the three areas. So first of all, on the time that it takes, we cut down the time that it takes from about almost 3 weeks to start a business, just to register a company. You can imagine 2 weeks running around 10 different institutions. This was the case 10 years ago. Today, if you're starting a business in Rwanda, you go to one organization, which is the Rwanda Development Board, and you find all the systems there. You find the connection to the tax authority, so you don't have to go there and register your TIN number, your tax identification number. When you register at RDB, you're automatically connected to the national ID system, automatically connected to the tax authority, so you get your tax number, and also to the pension, so you can actually register your staff with the Social Security Fund. So this kind of consolidating processes in one organization was very important, and the result of that is that it takes only 6 hours. So this woman who would have gone around different institutions trying to get paperwork done just goes to one organization, and even if possible, she has access to internet. And we do have business development centers around the country in all the districts, so they can actually go to a business development center in any part of the country, find computers there and actually do it online, which takes only 6 hours. So again, that's an example of the time that it takes. Another example in terms of time is also registering property, because it's very important if you're going to access a loan that your property is in your name. And so if you're purchasing or transferring property, again, it takes 2 weeks to have that registration. And this is also an area where Rwanda ranks the 3rd easiest place in the world in terms of transferring property and how quickly it's done and the processes that is done to get there. So that's an example of how we reduce the time, and this time element for us was very important, because we really prefer that entrepreneurs and women are out there doing their core business, not running around retail. The second one is the procedures that it takes, cutting down and making it very, very straightforward. And maybe I'll just double click on automation, because the biggest instrument or tool that made us able to reduce the procedures or the number of steps that businesses undertake was really because we're able to automate. And I think automation is extremely important. And sometimes people ask, how are you able to automate? If you talk about agriculture, you talk about women, you talk about a lot of them subsistence, or a lot of them in rural areas. Is automation relevant for this segment of people? And what we did in Rwanda, obviously not everyone has access to internet or access to smart devices that have all these tools that are enabling access to automation. But what we did is to create consolidated service points. We call them service access points and business development centers, where you invest in a number of computers, put them in one place in a district. And then these people who don't have access to internet or to smart devices can walk to these service points and get, and what we do as a country, as a government, is invest in the infrastructure, their computers, internet, but then they still go there and they get automated services with support of people that are employed to support such access. And this has enabled us to, both create a hybrid of, automation in the most rural areas, but also at the same time giving these services very quickly, which is the point of that. And so some of the services that you can get in automation, as I talked about, registration of service or businesses online, but you can also register secure transactions. So if you're applying for a loan and you want to register your collateral with the bank, you can also do this online. And what we also provided for is that you can not only use your land as collateral to get a loan, but you can also use your movable property. So if you're a farmer and you have crops, or you have stock, you have inventory of maize or rice, today the legal framework allows you to take that as collateral to a bank and be able to use that and register that as collateral in order to access a loan. And of course, this also was quite a difficult one, because for property that is movable, how do you ensure that it actually stays in one place and you can actually count on it being available should the bank have access to it? These are some of the challenges that we had to work with, but also at least really provide both a registry and also a legal framework to allow these to be used to access loans as well. Now, also filing of taxes and payment of taxes can be done with your phone. You can use your mobile phone to declare taxes and to pay as an SME. So these are some of the reforms that allow to reduce the steps to really make it easy as much as possible. And I think the results that we've seen is a lot more access to credit, and a lot more access to even property ownership. And the Minister of Gender did talk about the statistics that we have today of land that is owned by women and how they're using these to actually access credit. And this has been very much supported by the legal framework and the registry framework for registering secure transactions. So maybe in a nutshell, as I conclude, Rika, I think not just the business environment, but also putting in place some of the policy framework to support employment, to support business development services and access to funding through the Business Development Fund, BDF, and also really always realigning and focusing our priorities as RDB to ensure that we are registering and supporting more women-owned businesses. And in fact, the Ministry of Agriculture expects that we should be able to generate 300,000 additional jobs in agriculture over the next 5 years. And to do this is to continuously support the sector of agriculture, but also very much double clicking on those that are owned by women. Now, you also asked me, Rika, what lessons can we share? And maybe I'll just do that very quickly. I think that the key lesson that has been overemphasized is political buy-in, extremely important because that sets the stage for everything that we do. And then there was also institutional mechanism, and the Minister of Gender touched on that as well. RDB is an institution, but we have the Gender Monitoring Office, we have the National Women's Council, we have the Business Development Fund, we have the Private Sector Chamber of Women, specifically promoting private sector women. So institutions are very important. And then, of course, making sure that policies are non-discriminatory and that there are synergies that are preventing duplication and pooling resources that can be harmonized for interventions that we do as a country. Partnerships, very important as well, whether it's partnerships between government and private sector, multilateral organizations to reinforce the regulatory framework, but also to really have specific interventions for women, capacity building, access to finance, and having very specific programs for those are very important. And of course, lastly, I think another key lesson was we have to support value chains and we have to put in place mechanisms to support women entrepreneurs, and looking at the entire value chain from start to finish is important because if we don't do that, then we miss the flow of what we should be intervening, especially as we think about where women are mostly concentrated. So allow me to stop there, Rika. And again, it's a big pleasure to join this discussion this morning. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Claire, for these great insights. And we could hear some birds, so it may not be green, but it seems to be some greenery somewhere in the background. Thank you. I'll come to you, Honorable Minister Rosemary. One of the things that have been said is around the assets and the human capital as being the biggest asset that we have. And we know that that number is the young people are really the highest number. We also know that Rwanda has been at the forefront to empowering the young people, including the young women, and other with different avenues, whether it's Youth Connect and other different forums. And we also have seen that these have been able to unlock a new society of young entrepreneurs, creative innovators, thought thinkers, among the young people. I'm curious to know what the Ministry of Youth and Culture is doing to support young girls to tap into all these opportunities that Claire has been talking about and the different interventions. How are these young women prepared to tap into these opportunities?
Thank you very much, Rika. Good morning to you all. I'm so honored and delighted to join you on this very esteemed panel that is talking about value for her. We feel so valued by discussing women empowerment. And I don't know if it is by design, the whole panel is women. Did you see that? So men in the house, you are very much honored. And I would want also to appreciate Dr. Agnes Kariwata for inviting us, and you can see the partnership is growing from the Ministry of Gender and Family Promotion to empowering and creating an enabling environment from RDB, and also looking at the young people, and majority of them are young women. I just want to also talk about briefly about the numbers. My colleague minister talked about that. And I just want to say about the young people that constitute 70% of the population, and those are below 30 years of age. And among those, 51.5% are young women. So if you don't plan for them, I don't know who you would be focusing on. But also we consider the 48.5% who are boys. And I think gender is about both of them. But today the point of discussion is mostly on young women. And if I look at the question that you asked about, if I want to respond to that, how do we ensure that the young people, the young women, tap into all these opportunities that our colleagues mentioned earlier? I would want to answer that in 4 or 5 ways. The first one is information. Information is very key. Information is power. How much information do the young girls and the young women have about all this information? And the platform that you gave an example about, the Youth Connect and others of the like, is to provide available information, available opportunities to the young women to tap into, because when you don't have information, I don't think you can even do anything prosperous or even think about doing something big. So the first thing that we always focus on is provide information. And we provide this through all different platforms. We have structures of the young people, the National Youth Council, which is structured similar to the Women Council, from the national level, from the parliament represented to the national level, at the district level, at the sector level, at the cell level, and Umudugudu, the last unit of administration, which is the village. They are all represented, and also include young women or boys as well in schools. So we have an integration of bringing those out of school and those in school so that they have equitable information. We try to bring equitable information, though most of the time it's not as equitable as you wish to. So first thing is information, as I mentioned. We have youth centers, youth development centers or youth centers across the country. We have 32 youth centers in the country. We still need more because these are at the district level. And yet to have more proximity to the young people, you need to bring them to the sector level to be closer to them. So these youth centers that are located across the country have all the information. It's like a one-stop center for information for the young people, right from skills availability to employment opportunities, to access to health information, sexually productive health, testing and knowing and counseling and knowing your position, to the level of having even sports facilities. And when you have sports facilities, it's like a pull factor that will attract the young people to come to that center rather than creating awareness, come to the youth center, come to the youth center. We always provide amenities that they would want to enjoy, and that would be a pull factor at the youth center. Those are sports facilities. But also we have training sessions, training opportunities at the youth center. So this is another center where we provide information, but also we provide information on our website because the world is going more technology, and most of the young people are tech savvy, so they can get information from the websites and the social media platforms. So we create platforms, including the Youth Connect that we talked about. Youth Connect has many components. One of them is a program called Youth Connect Hangout. The Hangout is just to hang out with them, and we provide information to the young people, those in schools. If there's an opportunity that's coming up, for example, access to finance, if you have a project, we bring the bankers, we bring the success story of young people who made it while they're at school, and also we bring the regulatory framework as a combination to make sure that they will provide information for these young people and they get to know, if you want internship, where do you go? RDB website is provided. It has this platform that where you can submit your application, first come, first served, as long as it's aligned to the field of education, you can get internship in this so and so place of work. So the first point is information, and all of us know the importance of information, especially in this era where we need more information and more information. The second is skills. Skills is very key to be relevant, to be adaptable, to be necessary to the labor market. You need to have the necessary skills that are required. Now, post-COVID is going to position a lot of challenges for us all, women and youth especially, where we'll need the young people, the young women to be reskilled, to be upskilled, to be adapting to the current dynamics. I think Claire talked about automation. That is going to be the way of life. You see that from in Rwanda, every service from government to citizen is online. So automation of services and having services online will require our young people to have the required skills and also to have a knowledge of the digital literacy, digital skills. So skilling is very important. And as I mentioned, in the youth centers, we provide these kind of platforms and skills and different partners, including Mastercard. I wish to recognize here that we work with them, Harambe and others that we work in the youth centers where they provide this kind of services, and we provide the knowledge of how to prepare and also to have a soft skill that is required of critical thinking, analytical and communication and all that. So all this is very important, especially in skilling. In terms of skilling as well, to be relevant in the labor market, we've seen also the digital skills are very needed. And we have a network of young people. We work with the Ministry of ICT and Innovation and Rwanda. We have a network of young people we call Digital Ambassadors Program. Most of them are young people and most of them are young women, because we see most of the unemployment rates are higher for young women than boys, than men or young men, or the girls more than in girls more than in boys. So we have the Digital Ambassadors Program where these young women go and teach people how to use using their phones to access services, and also how to use this platform to access information and also opportunities. The third is access. I will talk about access actually, because that's the biggest problem. Access to information, access to skills, access to capital and finance. I think the minister talked about it earlier. Access to finance is very key. You might have a program, you might have a project, but in agriculture, in agribusiness, but how do you access finance? How do you source funding to make sure that this project is implemented? And this is why we provide information of some of the examples that my colleague Claire mentioned about BDF, Business Development Fund, that have guarantee fund for young women and youth. So this is also another platform, access to capital or finance, where we encourage them to get this information and tap into all these resources. There are even some microfinancial institutions that are providing tailored programs or tailored products for the young people. We have an example of a microfinance called Mutanguha. They really proved us that young people are bankable, that young people are not risky as most of other financial institutions say. And we saw them, they told us that these young women and boys, or young girls and boys, also have low non-performing loans compared to adults, compared to us. And was really shocked, and we went to further to see, how do you do it? And we found that they do their own specific products for these young people. They have period of grace for 3 to 6 months where they don't ask them to pay back immediately. They learn their project, they accompany them with mentorship and more financial education so that they know their project much more. So this was very impressive, and one example where there is information, it's possible that they can exploit their opportunities and they can exploit as well their potential. The other one is also the attitudes. We have the issues of attitudes. We are so glad that we started working with the Ministry of Agriculture, encouraging young people to go into agribusiness. But I remember in the beginning how young people used to think, even the way agriculture is branded. When you see the branding or the documents or brochures that are used for agricultural sector previously that has changed thanks to the efforts they have put in, they used to put old people on the pictures, very poor, very vulnerable, and that makes not attractive for young people. We are glad to see that in the value chain, you see very promising young people, very educated young people. They're using their technical skills back into the market, into the labor. We see that a lot of shift from the previous perception. And now the young people see agriculture as cool, that's what they say. And we're glad to see that they are really into the whole value chain that the minister was talking about, into production. They're also going into market-oriented agriculture, and this is very impressive. And recently we saw more in horticulture and also exporting. This is very promising. It's because of the way the perception has changed and the way we've been promoting it The last 5 years, it was not very impressive. It was not attractive, yet opportunities were there. So it's about perception. It's about attitudes. It's about what they see. What would this bring to me? So they would prefer to go to offices where they earn less, white-collar jobs, rather than going in the field where they can make more money than they can even pay a minister the salary. So you can imagine the perception that has been changing over time. And we are so grateful that we have seen the young people going and changing their mindset towards this. But we also do programs that maybe we'll talk about in culture, which is itorero, civic engagement, about the values, or who do we stand for? What are we for? What can we do and what we can't stand? And this value or civic engagement has involved young people to think, to dream, to implement, to try, to fail, to retry. So all the time it's about try out. If it doesn't work, try again. Let it be a learning experience, learning process, and then you improve it better and you do better. So attitude and mindset shift has been really seen over time, and starting whatever they are capable of doing, starting within their backyard and growing and networking with others. The last but not least, moderator, is the networking. Networking is very important for mentorship. If we do have network, you can see all of us here from the agribusiness, others from government, others from the private sector, the development partners or the bankers. If you have this network, you always unlock all the challenges that you meet along the way. But when you don't meet, we don't have a network that inspires you, the network that will tell you it's possible. I went through that. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. This is very possible. I did this and that, it happened. So it is something that we have been encouraging, to have a network of young people that encourage each other, but also share experiences and share failures and see how we can solve it later. We have different programs that you have crafted together with different partners, young people in Rwanda Youth in Agribusiness Forum. We see more young women as well. We have programs in environmental conservation. We have now 9,000 young people in environmental conservation, and the majority of them, actually 51%, are women. They do terraces, they do protection of the Nyabarongo catchment area. They do also farming, green farming, and green, they're creating more green jobs. And we also have a network of more young people in road maintenance, about 12,000 young people that are now maintaining the roads in the rural areas, the feeder roads, working with the Ministry of Infrastructure and Rwanda Transport Development Agency. The young people within that location, for proximity, they've been into this maintenance of roads, other than having companies from Kigali going to Rusizi to maintain the roads. We've seen the young people in that specific location, and we are exploiting on the talents they have, the skills they have, those from vocational training, those with civil engineers, and also the accountants. We make a combination, and they have companies and they're doing this work, and also getting access to equipment from BDF that we talked about. BDF has a product that is for micro-leasing of small equipments that are used in this area, and it is growing further. But also, there are many programs that you have been seeing, also empowering young girls and boys in vocational training, and we've seen them also coming up. We have a program we call TVET Youth Challenge. It's coming up for the second time. And we're looking, if you're into TVET, you are into vocational training, you want to improve agriculture, you want to transform agriculture, you want to transform education, what programs do you have? You want to transform local administration, all looking at all the challenges within the communities, and you want to be the solution. You want to be the change agent. And what do you want to do? So we want to provide that information, especially access to finance, and give them grants to make sure that they implement this program. So there are many more programs, but still challenges, as the minister said, they still exist, and that's why we have all of you here to support each other. Thank you, moderator.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. I think it's a real inspiration. The young people are trying, failing, learning, and continuing, and starting where they are. Dr. Agnes, President of AGRA, you opened up this session and letting us know and inspiring us to start thinking of actions. How do we move from policy to action. And through the different discussions, we've heard about what has been happening, what the different institutions are doing, what the young people, the opportunities that are out there, the information that exists. I'll call upon you now to just, help us share some of the insights and bring it all together. As I think this is really a great opportunity and something that, AGRA, by just building this network, has really made this an opportunity to share and make this very enriching. Over to you, Dr. Agnes.
Thank you, Rika, and thank you for this fantastic moderation that you've done here today. I just wanted to take the opportunity again to thank the honorable ministers that have joined us today, but also to highlight two things really that I want to be take-home messages as the honorable ministers may leave us, so that they really understand the place of value for her. We've put this instrument in place to support women, and I'm sure you will learn about this as we go into other discussions, but I just wanted to highlight that this is a platform that provides an opportunity for women to learn from each other, an opportunity for market, an opportunity to build on what we are doing in the AGRF. You remember we have a D room in the AGRF, which provides an opportunity for women to look into business opportunities across the world. So women to finance, we have a women to finance pillar, but we've also put in place an opportunity for women to gain capacity, knowledge, and everything that they might want or need to be able to learn from each other. So I really wanted to underscore that this is a huge resource for women. Talking of resources, we have also just launched another resource, which the Center for African Leaders in Agriculture. And it's also an additional opportunity for women to learn about if you are interested in advancing a business in the agricultural sector, that's also an additional resource you can tap into. So we are extremely committed to ensuring that these resources are available to women. I know there are people who are calling in from different places of the continent, and I just wanted to make sure that people understand what is at stake here. At the beginning, I talked about what the rest of Africa could learn from Rwanda. And listening to what the ministers have presented, I wasn't wrong. There's so much that you can learn from Rwanda. In Rwanda, we don't whitewash at anything, and we do not women wash. Women wash would mean that we are just doing it for the sake of doing it. No, we do not women wash. When we say we'll support women, we support women. And I hope that this is something the rest of the continent can learn from. And the connection we are trying to make here at AGRA is real. And I hope that you all across the continent can take advantage of it. You can see that from one minister to the other, the ability to share, the interest to share, and to help really share what they have learned while building this capacity that the country has is something that they are willing to share with the rest of the continent. And I just want to make sure that all of us understand the opportunity that is here. So thank you so much. The reason I'm saying this is because I will need to drop off at some stage, but I just really wanted to thank you so much and appreciate the opportunity we've been given to share Rwanda's experience, but also to really expose what Value for Her can do for the continent in a partnership, like Claire said and many of you said. So thank you again, Rika, and I look forward to the rest of the meeting.
Thank you very much, Dr. Agnes. This takes us to the end of this session, and I'd like to thank you all for your attention and to thank our panelists. Dr. Agnes Kalibata, thank you for the invitation. I can't think of a better way to spend a day with women and he for she, Ambassador Vrooman with us, and particularly on this day, which is my birthday. So thank you for the gift, to all of you, and especially to AGRA, and it's an honor for the foundation as well, doing some work. And I think this is really a big area, of interest for women and for young people. So I'll ask you to, join me in thanking our panelists for a great session, and wish you a good day for the rest of the continuation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rika. Thank you very much, our panelists, those online, and of course, those who are here with us. We appreciate it. Please, another round of applause to our great panelists. And of course, happy birthday to you, Rika. And I want to call upon Mr. Jean-Paul to, of course, come and welcome the Minister for Agriculture as she gives us a keynote address.
Thank you, Fiona. Thank you, Excellencies, honorables, and distinguished guests. We are now getting into the meat of what we came here to do. As you know, AGRA stands for Alliance for a Green Revolution in Africa. It is operating with the Ministry of Agriculture as a line ministry. And I've had the pleasure and the honor to work with the Honorable Minister for many years. She's a researcher, she's a scientist, she's a strategic thinker. And when we introduced this idea to her, she says she will be one of the champions. As many men we go value he for she. She's also saying many women to join in agriculture, especially agribusiness. So without saying too much, please help me in welcoming Honorable Dr. Girardine Mukeshimana, the Minister of Agriculture.
Good morning, everyone. Honorable Ministers, Dr. Kalibata, CEO RDB, Your Excellency, Ambassador Roman, if you are still there, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, and to you, Rika, happy birthday. Yeah, I'm really happy to be here as we are launching the VALUE4HER platform in Rwanda. It's been going around, and we are happy to be welcoming it to Rwanda. As previously mentioned by Dr. Kalibata, the VALUE4HER aims to encourage and promote interactions between women companies, market actors, public and development actors for better understanding of the needs, but also of the opportunities. In addition, we are assembling here to create or to widen the awareness about VALUE4HER program. So we are happy to have it around, and we are delighted to see a lot of engagements, a lot of interactions, and excitement in women in agribusinesses. So with the numbers, we know that women constitute nearly 50% of agricultural workforce, and they own 1/3 of micro and small enterprises. That's a big number. And when we go into the sectors, we find that these micro and small enterprises where women are involved, they are in agribusinesses. Majority of them are purely in agriculture. Therefore, women are key pillar of Africa's food security and wealth creation. We all know when a woman's livelihoods, such as farming activities or small businesses, even rural labor markets are affected, the whole household food and nutrition security is automatically threatened, and the whole well-being of the family gets threatened. And when you take that to a larger scale, the countries are affected. So In Rwanda, we have been striving to set various policies and actions that are empowering women. We have one of the higher women representative in decision making, but despite all the success and promotion, I think it's not a secret that the previous speakers mentioned that there are still cultural, societal, even legal barriers that are preventing women to fully enjoy the empowerment that our leadership has set up. So that's a challenge. When we go into various numbers, we find that access to productive assets such as land, credits, even other income supplement sources, we still find that the numbers are not matching up. There are some limitations that are affecting women, and all the time, and sometimes you find that numbers of women are lower than the numbers of men. So when you look at in certain sectors such as agriculture, you find that these are cultural, these are legal barriers. They contribute to women being boxed into traditionally defined roles and cycles of poverty, and sometimes certain kind of dependence. If I give an example, in agriculture sector, we have around 2.1 million agricultural households. And among them, 28% are headed by women. And we have observed that only 18.6% of these households that are headed by women are fully engaged in market-oriented activities. That push us to fully support any initiative that is aimed at getting women more engaged in agribusinesses while making them more economically active. With that, I wish to commend AGRA initiative to have taken time to design and implement this unique program to increase the value for women in agribusinesses by strengthening women SMEs through access to markets, finance and capital, knowledge and skill, and building collective capital for mentorship, role modeling, and withering the tough gender barriers within business environment. The VALUE4HER platform enhances visibility of women in agribusiness, help them to build a collective capital and network across the country and the continent. I really want to urge women to take advantage of this and be aggressive. Minister of Youth have mentioned it. 5 years ago, when we started actively changing the mindsets. We didn't think that it would be where we are today, but with constant engagement, with constant positive support, positive messages, we see that it is taking advantage, taking shape. I know I used to go to KCC and then find that our communication team, they have put pictures of these gray old people, dirty and so on, and then they put them in, pour up in cases, and I'm like, okay, I don't want to see this here, because what we are promoting is not this. What we are promoting is an exciting agricultural sector where the knowledge is where the money is, not just to be too poor so that people can run away from you. So it's really important that we think of attracting people rather than showing the images that are pushing them away from what we are doing. But I think our communication team has listened. I don't see those pictures anymore, so I think they are, they have listened. So I think we take women in agriculture sector as granted. So I'm really excited about this initiative because it challenges us to be specific. As Claire has mentioned, all of us, we have agenda statement budget, and we tell how much money is going to be used in women empowerment, in gender, but once you go deep down into the specificities, it yields results. So I want to encourage, I know among youth, there are women, among exporters, there are women, among farmers, there are women, but let us try to pull them out and specifically focus on them. And given the numbers that we have and the vision that we have, I mean, I believe that in a few years we can see exciting results. So that said, the situation where we are in today with the COVID-19 actually should push us to be specific, because we know that the more vulnerable, the less fortunate people are, the more they have been affected by COVID-19. So we know a lot of job losses that happened because of these lockdowns that we go back and forth with. We know how many women are employed in informal sectors. When the COVID hit, I think there is nothing that was more affected than informal sector. So I know how many women are involved in informal sector. I think as we go with this, one of the goals will be to try to remove as many women as we can from the informal sector. The informal sector has been, like we have been chanting about it for so long, but with the lessons that we are learning, I think we should be really trying to formalize as many women that are there as we can. So another thing that I want to mention, it's so many things that we learned. I don't want to go into what Minister Rosemary has mentioned because we work together, but with the lessons from the COVID and the government putting down the recovery fund and everything, when you go around you find that, again, the less educated did not benefit to the maximum. The the smallest, though when we were designing it, we provided for the small and medium. Again, you find that they didn't benefit as anticipated. So going forward, the skills, education, even information, as previously mentioned, it's really important, and it's important to think of how do we get it there, because it goes on the media, goes through various channels, but if you go down deep and you find women rearing chicken, 1,000 or 500 chicken, and you say, oh, do you know that there is a facility that can help you to recover? Have you been affected by COVID-19? They say, yes, but why aren't you taking advantage of it? There is no information, but also the record keeping and the knowledge of how to access is not there. So you find that even people have heard about it, they have deeply affected, but the knowledge on how to get there, the information that is needed is nowhere to be found. So what we see is that despite us putting so many instruments, it's really important that we take deliberate actions to make sure that the target group benefits. And the best platform to support that is this platform. If we can be able to successfully link the actors that we feel like are supposed to be linked, and provide the capacity building, the trainings, the information that we are supposed to be providing. So I think there are so many initiatives that our government have been putting in place to support. As you have seen, we are all geared up to support. And I really want to encourage women in Rwanda to take advantage. And I promise that we are going to be specific because that specificity and pinpointing is critical. We have learned lessons in various activities. So I'm excited that this platform is happening in Rwanda. We pledge our support and participation, and let's go for it. So Jean-Paul and dear participants, I don't want to take so much of your time. I want to stop there, but I really want to thank the AGRA for organizing, even for having thought of this. It's beyond Rwanda, it's a continental event, and learning is important. So making it wider makes the skills and knowledge wider. So I encourage everyone to participate, and women in agribusinesses to take advantage of it. I know there are so many, but I want to get them engaged. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for that. Please, another round of applause to our Minister. Thank you. And I want to call upon Sabdio Dido, who is the head of gender and inclusiveness, to tell us more or setting the scene about the value for her in-country networks. Over to you, Sabdio.
Thank you very much. Can we beam the presentation? Thank you very much. Excellencies, ministers, and it's really such an honor to be among such powerful women who are leading the ministries and such crucial ministries in Rwanda. Excellency, Ambassador Peter, who has been an amazing support to us here in Rwanda, particularly from the USAID side. Of course, we have immense support, and they are supporting us also for this initiative. And all the esteemed guests we have in the room, but also joining us online. My name is Sabdio Dido. I'm the head of gender and inclusiveness, and I am blessed here for AGRA. My mandate is, of course, corporate and is continental, but I must say that I'm so privileged to be placed here in Rwanda for obvious reasons. And I know my colleague who's seated at the table there, she'll also take the floor at some point, and she will tell you how privileged we are to be placed here in Rwanda, because this is really a country of opportunities, it's a country of possibilities, it's a country that has shown the world what is possible when people come together and have a resolve to move forward collectively. My presentation is going to be very brief because my president spoke about our Value for Her program. JP has spoke about it. So what I will do is I'll just skip the sections around the challenges. I think the ministers painted the picture very well. So I'll just quickly zoom into slide 5, please, slide 5. Just to give you a sense of what the Value for Her program is about, just a little bit in detail, so that you understand it here. So this is a program that was developed initially with another partner of AGRA, and of course AGRA now has secured it and is implementing it across the continent. It's a continental flagship, so it means that this is done in very many countries. But today we are launching the Rwanda chapter of it, and we are bringing it into the country Rwanda. And this day is unique because this is the grand finale of the 11 country consultations we've had so far. So we are wrapping it up here in Rwanda, and the choice of Rwanda to wrap this up was also very intentional, because we knew that here there is already fertile ground for all the propositions that we are making, and we've heard it from the ministers. Now the program is powered by a digital platform, and so you heard also my president make reference to the platform that facilitates this program. And we have series of activities offline that you will see us getting into going forward, but there's a lot that is happening online. And I'm requesting my colleague Marjorie to please post the link for the platform so that all the participants and also our members here are able to just log in and see what is there. Now, the platform, and why the platform? Because we know there's a series of structural challenges when it comes to women and accessing different things that are out there, yeah? And it is about finance. I think there was very, very robust discussion about it, and I know there's a panel that is coming up shortly to even dig deeper into that. It's about markets. We know, for example, how mobility is an issue, for example, accessing markets that are far away is an issue. And so access to markets is another integral component here. Access to finance, I did mention already. There is the huge component around know-how, capacity, technical capacity, business management capacity, but a lot more also in terms of confidence and that ability, that the self-drive to take risks and grow businesses. We talked about businesses. Growing businesses means that you go out of your comfort zone. And for women, we really need a bit of push to get out of our comfort zone. We are privileged because we have gone to school, we are educated, we have exposure, but not every woman has this privilege. So there's that support that is needed so that they feel comfortable enough to go. And that is what we call the Women to Know How pillar. So this platform makes every woman's company visible digitally. So if you go online, you will see a portrait of a woman and the description of her business. And the reason why we did this is because most of the times when we are talking about private sector companies, and again, my colleague Jennifer here, who's heading our partnerships unit, we are asked, but where are these businesses you're talking about? Where are women? Women are hidden somewhere. I think Minister Geraldine also made reference to that. We said, okay, we are going to make them visible. How do we do that? Use technology, because technology is an enabler, is a connector, and it's giving us that opportunity to do that. So please scroll down. So every woman's company is visible with contact details. There is a link back to the countries where they are. There is a brief caption of the nature of their business so that people that are within the agriculture market, buyers, financing institutions, technical service providers, they can go on the online, click and see who is there. And for women, the same, so that they can click and connect to whoever they want to connect to for their business need. So our change agenda actually starts from, and people, sometimes I am asked, but what do you have for smaller women businesses? What do you have for smaller farmers? Well, we actually have an agenda for the entire women's folk within agriculture, and that starts with farmers. And right now in Agra, we are actually working with, and we have supported over the last 4 years, about 3.5 million women farmers with trainings and capacity building, with access to extension services, access to entrepreneur opportunities, access to seeds and fertilizers, access to credits, and access to markets. We're really big there. Honestly, we are big there. Of course, if you look at the continent, we have a lot more to cover, but we are big there. And come to enterprises, and now there's an array of enterprises, right? There's micro businesses, even others that are smaller that we call nano businesses. There are SMEs, and of course, there are those that are in trade. So what we are trying to do here is the women farmers are able to find markets readily, yeah? But those that want to get into entrepreneurial opportunities, we already show them that this is the path for growth, yeah? Start from there, move to small business, yeah, micro business. But the opportunities for you to grow your micro businesses is here, and this is the pathway. And the reason why we have brought this, and if you see on the right, there are different resources we brought together on this platform. And these resources are resources that have been, and we have, this is actually developed from evidence that these are the things that these small businesses need to graduate through the different business levels. On the left side, we are actually looking at how the market also can deliver for women. Women, we can develop the pipeline of women businesses at different levels, but the market also needs to open up. And you've seen us big on advocacy. Vanessa did mention, for example, that in the last 4 months only, we have reached about 2,000 different partners and participants with our advocacy initiatives around opening up that business environment, that business landscape, so that it also is accommodative equitably for women. So we're looking at avenues where women can buy from each other, but also companies can buy directly from women. Yeah, we're looking for gender intention private sector partners that have a special window. In fact, some have quotas to buy from women. The question is, how do we bring this back? How do we link this back to women farmers and women micro entrepreneurs? We're looking at financing. And again, Dr. Kalibata spoke to the deal room. Yeah, the deal room is one of the instruments we have annually to really make the matchmaking and to prepare women for investment. But we are also enlisting on the platform financing partners that directly will link to the different businesses. And of course, I spoke to knowledge and how crucial that is. So this is what we are trying to influence with the Value for Her program in each of the countries, but also at continental level. So this program will be implemented at 2 levels. The continental level, because in the end, and this is what I also always tell my colleagues, in the end, if we have a critical mass of women businesses, by critical mass, I mean, for example, let's say in the next 10 years, we have 100,000 businesses on that platform, yeah? With a strong value proposition, but also with a strong voice. You know what that means? What that means is that women will be able to dictate the terms for financing, right? They will be able to dictate the terms for the markets. They'll be able to dictate the terms for policy and the regulatory and trade environment, right? So this is really what we are trying to achieve. Next slide. So the offerings are here, yeah. So if you go online again, you'll see that the platform is structured like this. There's a women to women pillar. This is really the networking pillar. Women across the continent networking, linking with one another, chatting with one another, creating reciprocal relationships, trade relationships, whatever relationships they want to have. And here you have seen us churning out, for example, programs like the Talk Corner. And the Talk Corner is a program that really helps to boost the confidence of women to bring out their businesses, to pitch their businesses, to talk about their businesses, but also about themselves. There's the women to market, the women to finance, and of course, the women to know-how. And so far, we are working with about 1,100 until today. And I know these numbers will continue to grow. By 2030, we're really trying to get 100,000 women's businesses across the continent. What does that mean for Rwanda? Excellencies, let's determine that together. We get our number, we get our target, and we work towards that. Next. Next slide. Yeah, so Value for Her is already rolling out specific programs. So this is one program, again, Vanessa and our president spoke to it. Please share this within your network. There are executive webinars that are going to be rolled out. We already had one webinar to assist women to recover from the impact of COVID. Again, the Excellencies spoke to this very, very eloquently. There's no need for me to justify it. It's a very much needed support. Let's share it. And there will be many more that are going to come out. And there was also, of course, a reference to the Leadership Academy that AGRA has just launched. Again, we are looking for women. Interestingly, men have subscribed already. And I think 80% of the members that have subscribed already are men. We're looking for women. Please join in. This is a high-level leadership academy that's going to help you, become a better leader in agriculture and food systems. So please pass the word around and let women also enroll. I think there are just a few days left for enrolling. Next slide, please. Yeah. And I said we are big on voice, right? Because in the end, we really, I mean, I love a country like Rwanda because they're really working their things, not too much noise, just doing it, right? But there are others that need to hear, what you're doing and learn from it. And then the women on the other side push in the space so that they have the kind of environment you have here. So that is why advocacy is very important and is very strong for us. And we will continue to do it because in the end, we have to change the environment in which we operate. And I really like the vision that the Minister, Claire, shared about Rwanda. Like, How do you expect to develop when you want to lock out half of your population? It just doesn't make sense. I love that rationale. And indeed, it's really one that should run through the continent to make sure that we harness the collective capacity of everybody. Next. Yeah, so next steps, what do we want to do? We want to start the program here, just simple. And we are calling on you, our partners in the house, to join us. We set up a program, whether it's a platform for engagement in Rwanda, we are happy and we are ready to support. Whether it's a program we roll out in terms of implementation, we are happy and ready to support you. And whether it's advisory to the ministries, yeah, the Ministry of Agriculture, the Ministry of Youth, the Ministry of Gender, the Ministry of Gender Excellency, we are ready to support you. Please call on us. I'm here, I'm blessed here, and I am happy to be part of the progress that Rwanda is making. I'm happy to contribute to that progress. So I want to stop there now. Thank you so much for joining us again. We are really happy to have you today and to have this discussion and look forward to further collaboration. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for that excellent presentation, Sadir. We now go straight to the second panel, which will be led by our moderator, Amy Bila, Economic Growth Office Director, Rwanda USAID. Amy, over to you. A round of applause as our panelists come to join us.
Now it's on. Perfect. Good morning. I don't know about you, but I might just take a minute for those at home listening and for those in the room to take a moment and breathe. We have heard a lot this morning, and we've heard a lot of such incredibly important information and points that have been made by their excellencies, the ministers and others who have spoken. I feel like we need to breathe in and out as we transition to another panel. As you heard, I'm Amy Buehler. I'm the director of the Economic Growth Office at USAID. And I was very inspired by all of the remarks that we heard this morning. I've also been inspired as I've traveled around Rwanda, around Africa, around the world, meeting women entrepreneurs, especially women agripreneurs. So I am so excited to be part of the launch of this connection platform. I registered for it yesterday and was already extremely impressed. I love the fact that we have the chance to have virtual events like this, where we can have women on the line, women and men, and have participants in the room. We can reach more people that way. I miss the chance to speak with women entrepreneurs and hear directly from them. So we're offering you the opportunity today in this panel to specifically address one of the barriers that we've heard about this morning, which is access to finance. And I look forward to hearing about ways that people are looking to achieve solutions to some of these barriers, both from financial service providers, but also from private sector partners. So let me join the panel, and thank you, everybody. Good morning.
Good morning.
We haven't had the chance yet to meet. I look forward to speaking more with each one of you after. But the panel today, as I mentioned, is discussing barriers to access to finance. As we're slightly pressed for time, I think we'll get right into it. And so I'll ask each one of you to offer a quick introduction of yourself, of your company, but we have targeted questions for each one of you. I don't usually like doing this, but I may try to keep an eye on time and ask each of you to limit your remarks to 5 minutes. I'll send a nice signal, hopefully, if you're approaching the end of that time. If I could start with Marie-Claire at Sorora. Uh, Being one of the larger off-takers of grains every season, you require financing throughout the season. How do you ensure that the groups you're working with, your aggregators, do not run out of funds throughout the season? And how do you overcome any other financing issues?
Thank you so much. My name is Claire Uineza. I work with Sarura Commodities, one of the biggest off-takers of maize and beans. We work in Rwanda. We started in 2012, where we worked with 5 cooperatives, but we started with working with farmer cooperatives, and we grow. When we started, we worked with the 5 cooperatives in the eastern province of the country. Then when we started, we initiated inventory credit system, where we were thinking that we wanted to promote the women who were in agribusiness. So we buy commodities for women and other farmers. We offered 6% of the commodity that they supplied for us, and then on the current price, and the other 40% we paid after selling the commodities. That was a very good trial, and it was so successful. So we keep growing, and when we started with 5 cooperatives, we grow, and now we work with 6 cooperatives around Rwanda in east, north, and south of the country. And now we are able to purchase between 350 metric tons to 450 metric tons of maize per year, which is a good improvement. So when we say about one of biggest off-takers, of course, we do require finances, but still we have some challenges. But with this system that we promoted of inventory credit system, we tried it with the Terimbere IMF, but still was challenging because we don't have enough collateral. So it was challenging, and we say that let's mix and move forward. We offer 2 types of contract to farmers, which is direct purchase, and the one who really wants to go to inventory credit, we offer it to farmers. So when you say that, how do we track the records for our farmers, or how do we track if they don't run out of the funds? We have 30 teams. We work with farmers on a daily basis. We offer them pre-planting contracts, where we think that those contracts, they can take it to the bank, and bank offer them the money. But also we have some people from the banks who works on a daily basis with the farmers, so that we can track where is the gap and find a solution. So with the inventory credit system in this period, we didn't do it because we've got so many challenges. Like we didn't have warehouse receipt system in Rwanda, and we had the high interest rate from the banks. And also we don't have so many companies who does the collateral management. They have a higher cost, where they require us to pay like 5 million per month, which is too much. So we say that now, if, for example, we get a chance of having the warehouse receipt system in place in Rwanda, that can be a solution for the problem that we have, because now it requires us to take the crops as a collateral, which is very challenging. And of course, in the business, you know, so I think if we have the warehouse receipt system in Rwanda, that can be a solution in grain maize. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'll say you gave us a lot of food for thought there. And I love that you ended on talking about warehouse receipts. That's been on my mind as I've listened to speakers this morning, especially hearing Claire talk about some new tools for collateral. So thank you for raising that. Our next question is slightly provocative, I think, for Sharon. There are so many initiatives we've heard about this morning in Rwanda that target women entrepreneurs. What do you think these initiatives are still lacking? What problems have they not managed to yet solve? And how do you see potential solutions for helping women entrepreneurs?
Thank you. Again, my name is Kanyana Sharon, and I'm the founder and managing director of Isho Foods Limited. We are a small company that started in 2016 in our home kitchen. Out of being desperate and not having a job for a long time, I love cooking, so I made jam and yogurt, and my family and friends loved it. And yeah, so that's how the idea of taking it to the supermarket came. Unlike my colleague, I won't be talking about finance, but it's initiatives that support young businesses. So it also involves other needed capacities like trainings, if I'm right. Yeah, while I was still home doing my business at home, I was lucky to hear of competition that was giving grants for people who are helping to reduce post-harvest losses. So it was little money, but it helped me move from using my kitchen utensils to buying commercial size saucepans and cooking, the stoves. And yeah, we were able to move to our own premises and also increase our number of employees and also be able to apply for the standards. So our products are SMARC certified, and we look to get certified for HACCP also. We make jams out of tree tomato, pineapple, and mixed fruit. They are available in all supermarkets in Kigali, and we plan to take them to other provinces and also export. And yogurt also, we make fruited yogurt. Yeah, coming to your question, we've been part of different initiatives that help small businesses, but they are good in a sense that they help you come from one level to another one as a business, but also there are things that need to be improved. For example, I get a feeling that they are focused or centered in Kigali and not very much in the rural areas. Most of these initiatives, as time goes, they put emphasis on taking them to the rural areas, but I get a feeling it's not, they haven't gotten there very well yet. Maybe it's in the way they market these initiatives. Do they make sure that they get them to the right media outlets to talk to women, and for these women to be able to apply for them and be part of them? Yes, and most of them target cooperatives with women, but they're also, it's good to know that there are women who own businesses solely. Maybe she has a shop that she runs, or maybe she also processes like me. Yeah, so not just cooperatives also, but also businesses that are owned by solely by women. Still on also rural women, it's a good thing, especially after COVID. People have been doing meetings and also trainings online, which is very good for mothers especially. So you get to kill two good birds with the same stone. You get to follow your training and also your trainings or meetings, and also be able to take care of your children with a bit of hindrances though, but yeah, it's a good thing. Being a good thing, doing things online, not having to move, and also using your time very well. Again, that's a hindrance for people in rural areas. Most meetings and trainings these days are online, but not everyone is able to have access to good internet, or even be able to use meetings on Zoom and all those other online platforms. Another one with these business supporting initiatives that I've seen, another area that needs improvement is, for example, there could be an initiative that is going to provide finance in form of a loan or interest-free loan, or even just a grant. grants which are usually good for micro businesses and small businesses. But before you access that, before you get access to that money, you'll have to go through trainings, capacity building in different areas, bookkeeping, management, maybe even human resource. And sometimes, is it possible for these sessions to, for example, not take 6 months, maybe take 3 months, yeah, in the interest of saving time, and also women for them to be able to do other things, also focus on their businesses, take care of their children, and yeah, and grow their businesses. Yeah, so some of them are a little bit lengthy, so it would be good to, yeah, to make them shorter. Or is it even possible that businesses will earn that money and at the same time do the trainings? Because it's one thing getting the money and another one knowing how to use that money efficiently. Another one is, for example, especially the agro-processing, there are still gaps. We need quality products that will be able to compete with the ones that are imported. I think there's still a very big gap. And for us to have that quality, especially in agro-processing, there has to be good machinery, quality machinery. And sometimes you'll find that these machines are a bit costly, say 25,000 US dollars or 30,000, it's just an example. And most of the initiatives that help small businesses get these machines will require a certain percentage from the owner. And sometimes for a micro business or a small business, that's big. Are there ways to make it simpler for these business owners to get these machines? Maybe can I get that machine, and maybe if after I've started getting money, pay back slowly by slowly? Yeah, so simpler ways of getting access to these machines, and also, yeah, and improve the quality of our products. Also, lastly, sorry, I'm taking time. I think that these initiatives sometimes lack diversity in capacities. Sometimes, mostly it's just trainings in classes, but I've seen some that have come a good way, that they'll teach you on how to do better packaging, and even just come to your factory. The fact of coming to your factory and giving you coaching sessions, and maybe help you on how to improve your logo, or even just help you get proper mentorship, someone that will be with you along the way. Yeah, so not just trainings in class, but giving you solutions that are tailored to the gaps that you have in your business. Yeah, so those are some of the things that I think that need to be improved.
I took notes of your list. Those were fantastic ideas of areas for improvement. And I have to say, they're so modern. You're really capitalizing on the current situation that we're in now of wanting to see greater access to online training, but also pointing out that issue that remains between women's accessibility of training and other programs in urban areas versus rural areas. You hit on the time deficit that women have as they're working in the home, taking care of children, taking care of other duties, where they're maybe working up to, I want to say 24 hours a day. And having that shift in perception where women can be seen as business owners and business women who may have started a business from their home, but have turned into entrepreneurs and taken that business and grown it and become very successful. Of course, we've all seen your products as we've gone shopping. Certainly something our activities and programs in Rwanda have seen is the need for a shift in that perception that a women-owned business means it's being run out of the home. So that was really inspirational to hear that. And I'm sure my colleague and myself have taken these notes and will share them as we design our new activities and with our current activities. Thank you, that was really great. I'll turn now to some financial service and business development service providers and move over to Sarah from Inkamoko. What led you to start your Urumuri program? And are there similar programs that you're running? Please tell us a little bit about that as well, obviously. And what other opportunities do you see for women entrepreneurs here in Rwanda? Thank you.
Thanks, Amy. First, good morning, everyone. I'm Sarah Leedham. I'm the COO of African Entrepreneur Collective, and in Rwanda, we're known as Nhomoko. We've been operating in Rwanda since 2012, and we have 8 offices throughout the country. We have Kigali, Musanze, and then we're in 6 upcountry districts. We do training, consulting, and access to finance. We have our own in-house debt fund, which we provide loans to entrepreneurs at below market rates with low collateral. And we also make sure, as Sharon said, that entrepreneurs are able to use those funds successfully after going through a tailored consulting program. So I feel like I'm on a panel of good friends and colleagues. We have either worked with or partnerships with all of my colleagues on this panel today. So delighted to share what we're doing to make sure that women have more access to finance and services. And importantly, also access to market. That's the huge area of concern for many people who have great products, great systems, but still are trying to find access to market. So we have worked with almost 20,000 entrepreneurs. The Urumuri project that we run is a special initiative that we've done every year for the past 5 years with Bank of Kigali. And that was a great opportunity for us to engage a private sector actor to put some of their funds into women entrepreneurs, youth entrepreneurs in the country. And that's one portion of what we do. So we've helped 100 entrepreneurs receive 135 million Rwandan francs from the Bank of Kigali in zero interest loans. So that's a great first step. But knowing that there are so many entrepreneurs who need access to finance, really making sure that we can have systemic ways that women and entrepreneurs can make sure that they aren't just winning competitions, but that they're able to be fully financially included in mainstream systems. So that's also part of our work with BRD and some other banks and other different government partners where we're able to advocate for access for women into mainstream financial products and systems. For ourselves, we have a mandate from our board of directors that at least half of the entrepreneurs that we work with are women. And that's incredibly important, as we've heard from so many ministers today, that the leadership of the country has really, from the most top level, said equity and inclusion is important. And those values and those cultures can come from the top of any organization. Private sector can learn very much from that example. So if you have boards of directors or your leadership team is really making that commitment to women, it can flow through all of your programs and products and policies. And for us at Nhomoko, we have a strong leadership team of women. So our board of directors has made this mandate. We have a strong leadership team of women. Our CEO, our COO, our MD, our portfolio manager, our head of SME development, our head of our refugee services program are all women. And so making sure that we reflect the communities that we serve really helps to make what we're doing accessible. But we know that even if we have women running the programs, if we still use policies that aren't favoring women's access, it doesn't matter who's reviewing the loan application if there's still requirements that there's a signature from a husband or there's certain collateral requirements. Those are still systemic barriers for women to access finance. So it's been important for us and for our other colleagues and other financial institutions to really look at what are the systemic barriers that are preventing women from accessing finance. This past year, COVID obviously had a disproportionate impact on women. We've seen those statistics all across the globe, whether it's been women in entrepreneurship, in agriculture, in any kind of sector. Women have really carried an additional burden. So one of the things that we did this past year was we led with Mastercard Foundation a COVID relief and recovery grant program where we identified entrepreneurs who could benefit from just cash to keep their businesses afloat, to keep them going. Sharon's company got one of those grants, and more than half of the recipients of those grants were women. So it was really important just to make sure that in addition to reducing loan payments, doing loan forgiveness this past year, that there was also just a lack of access to capital. So you could stave off some of those payments, but still making sure that women just have access to cash because they need to feed their families, they need to keep their business going. So trying to be really responsive and creative to what the real needs are for our entrepreneurs has been a hallmark of what we've offered. One of the things that also sets aside in HomoCo is that we also work with refugee entrepreneurs. That is something that we do both in Rwanda and in Kenya and now in Ethiopia. So we're across East Africa, but working with smallholder farmers and very micro sellers who often are women is another way that we make sure that women are able to both sell and receive the necessary food products that they need for their family, even in some very remote settings across the country. And finally, we have some really fantastic partnerships. We've worked with Kate Spade as part of supporting women entrepreneurs in Masoro district in Rwanda. We've worked with UN Women to support HIV positive women who are becoming entrepreneurs. We have many, many other programs where women are still more than half of the people that we're serving. So for us, it's become part of our DNA that women can't be an afterthought. They have to be primary stakeholders in the development of what we're offering, in the receiving of those services, and also in taking feedback around how we can continue to improve, since that's as the environment in which women are operating their businesses change, we as a development service provider and a financier also need to continue to be self-critical and make those changes that we can make to ensure that what we're offering is most relevant for the women we serve. Also, just a plug, Murray is actually open right now, and you can apply online to be one of the entrepreneurs that is in Murray, and you can find that on our website through the end of this month.
Thank you. As you were speaking, I was struck by just the desire to strongly thank you and Marie, Claire, and Sharon for keeping so many people in business throughout the pandemic, for keeping so many people fed throughout the pandemic and employed and in business. So just it was remarkable what happened in Rwanda in terms of keeping the food system going. So thank you to each one of you. And thank you for mentioning grants and how important they were to keep these businesses going. That access to the working capital had to be supplied. We'll shift from the concept of giving grants to our colleague Eric from BRD, who will talk a little bit more as the lead financier in the country. What special financing programs do you have for agriculture? And do you see women entrepreneurs responding to those opportunities with those programs?
Yeah, thank you. I'm Eric Musi. I'm in charge of agriculture portfolio at the Development Bank of Rwanda. I'm an agronomist, so this is the sole bank in Rwanda that has an agronomist heading the agriculture financing. Yes, in terms of special program that we do have for agriculture is that first, our mandate comes from the national strategy for the agriculture transformation. So we look at that and then we develop appropriate products for the agriculture sector. So we finance from input financing to post-harvest technologies to reduce post-harvest losses. We do support agro-processing for better market penetration and improving shelf life of our products. And we also do this in an inclusive way. Sorry, meaning our minimum lending is 50 million ticket size. But to be inclusive, we make sure that we wholesale our funding to MFIs, that MFIs who have better proximity than ourselves with the smallholder farmers, which is mainly made by women, as our predecessors mentioned. So we are also providing, not in addition to those classic products, we provide additional non-classic products as technical assistance. We do provide partial credit guarantee through BDF, which is our subsidiary created in 2011 as a response to the market failures. It provides 75% credit guarantee to women compared to 50% to men. We provide as well market linkages, and I think this platform comes in at the right time, which will be one of our, let's say, tool to make sure that we are linking our clientele with the markets, but also we will be able to better profile them. So one of our products, as you asked, we have EGF, the Export Growth Fund, which helps women in horticulture to better access the export markets, have affordable funding. We have a 6.5% interest rate subsidy. And then we also have good upcoming products or packages. We are currently raising a 55 million USD credit line together with the Ministry of Agriculture and the Ministry of Finance from the World Bank. And then these funds will be effective towards the Q3 of this year. And it will be having a special consideration for women and youth. And then we believe this fund is a de-risking fund. It's a fund that will make sure that agriculture is de-risked in the country. So in terms of our de-risking products that we are looking at is increasing the partial credit guarantee that is already being given by BDF, but also increasing the agriculture insurance product that is being given by the Ministry of Agriculture, and reduce the cost of funds. Currently, one of the barriers that is affecting not all the agri-entrepreneurs, and especially women, is the cost of funds. The interest rates are somehow prohibitive, as our earlier interventions mentioned. So we believe that we'll reduce the interest rates, we'll provide partial credit guarantee, and then we'll also provide insurance. We believe that as a gap filler, we will make sure that all other commercial banks will increase their appetite to finance the sector. And then we'll also make sure that we generate more awareness through this platform. The fund will have a technical assistance. So we believe that also the technical assistance will improve the value chain linkages, which will increase the markets, will increase our penetration. I can say we also have the ERF, the Economic Recovery Fund, which will also be effective, I think, very soon, which will be focusing on agriculture, agro-processing units in the investment window. And then we believe through agro-processing, we will be able to reach smallholder farmer through contract farming, and then make sure that more women are considered, and then youth as well. Yeah, that's what I can say for now. Thank you.
Eric, that was a really comprehensive list of some very exciting financing packages that are existing now or will be coming online. How will people find out about these opportunities when they're available?
Thank you. One of the things that we've learned in launching the Export Growth Fund is that awareness campaign is key. So that's the first thing that we'll start with, is to make sure that both the supplying side but also the demand side is aware of the different product that we will be offering under the both three programs. So we'll make sure that we start by a strong awareness campaign. And I think this platform will, if possible, will be also a good channel through which we can reach the women all over the country. But since as it was mentioned earlier, not all small holder farmer has access to the technology that is required to go through the platform. We'll make sure that we have a physical presence in different remote areas of the country to make sure that everyone is aware, answer the questions, and then at the time of launching the fund, the demand will be there and we'll be ready. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. I think that's a really exciting way to end this panel by hearing about those opportunities that are coming online, but also that marketing campaign that you have planned, trying to reach women who may not have been reached before to increase their awareness of these sorts of opportunities that exist, and women business leaders who also exist in the country. So thank you so much to everybody. I learned a lot. I hope everybody else did, and I'm feeling very inspired. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Amy. Please, another round of applause as they come. Thank you very much. Especially knowing that the agribusiness is no longer going to be as risky when it comes to the banking side. Yeah, we appreciate that. So I'm going to call upon my panelists as I'm going to moderate this final session. Ms. Christine Waingana, she is the CEO of Urwego Bank. Please, a round of applause. We have Mr. Ndayegahije Prosper, who is the CEO of Africa Improved Foods. Ms. Ruzibuka Priscilla, please, a round of applause, keep it Bell Kids. And Nora Kamashezi, Ignite Seed Company. Please come forward. Thank you. Thank you very much for joining me. Of course, I'll start with you, Ruzibuka Priscilla. You're the next. You're closer to me. As a woman entrepreneur who is also supporting underprivileged women, how do you navigate the issues of lack of trust from buyers and finances, especially?
Thank you, Fiona. And I'm very happy to be here today. Good morning once again. I really feel very privileged to be in the space of agribusiness. Women are in every sector around business, and not being trusted is usually because they're very small players, they're at a very small level where they don't have the power to convince, they're not at a space where they can be the ones to negotiate good deals. So they end up not being trusted with the best business offers. And this is what is affecting them the most. And also being the fact that maybe they are not as well informed as earlier panelists mentioned, they are not able to negotiate and get a good deal for themselves. And they end up stuck in the same circle of, getting small pay and end up in small circles of renting and borrowing and in debt. So they're in a circle of debt. Every time they get money, it goes back to paying their previous debt. And that goes on, and they're unable to grow.
For the women that you support, do they get their own materials? How do they source for them?
Unfortunately, not yet. They buy locally and at a very, very small scale. So I also end up playing in the same role with them, where we have to source in small scale because they are unable to afford right now the ability to buy or to even import, because that needs capital that they don't have yet.
Maybe the first thing I should have asked you is briefly tell us what Kipepeo Kids does. What do you do and who is Kipepeo?
Thank you, Fiona. That's why I said I'm really very excited to be here today, because I'm in a very different field than the agribusiness. Kipepeo Kids is a children clothing brand. We do children clothes, and being here, I believe we benefit from the cotton part of the agriculture sector, but we also look forward to one day maybe being able to diversify ourselves and mix match.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Priscilla. CEO of Urwego, maybe tell us firstly, how does Urwego help financing women? And basically, what does Urwego Bank do today?
Thank you. It's okay. Can you hear me? It's great. Okay, great. Thank you. It's a joy to be here today. And I think most people will know Urwego as a bank Yabagore, given our logo that indicates about 6 women, piled up on top of each other. But we are not a bank for the women only, but majority of our clients are women. We started in 1997, and the purpose of the bank, at that time it was a microfinance institution, was to reach women and give them access to loans, non-collateralized loans, women that would normally not walk into a bank, women that maybe cannot read and write, but women that are economically active. And what we do is we do not wait for them to come. You know, banking, you always go to your bank. We go out to these women and we bring them together. You just initiate a conversation because they know what they want to do. Some of them are amazing entrepreneurs. They have an idea, they just lack access to finance. Another challenge is that some of them actually don't know how to separate their cash flow, their family cash flow and the business cash flow. And so when we bring them together, they self-select and they come into a group. They know who they can trust in their communities. They choose their own leaders. And you can see from the very first meeting, they are timid. You can hardly hear what they are talking about, but fast forward, give them loans. And 9 months later, when they've paid their loans, you return and they're in charge. They're telling you what to do, they're telling you what to say, they give you opportunity to speak, and sometimes you don't say anything. They run their meetings, and all that comes from the training we give them. We actually previously we would go to them with the cash to lend them, and then on a weekly basis we again go to them to have them pay back their loans, because once you give them a long repayment period, some of them are not able to pay. And so you go every week and they give you some of the proceeds from their businesses. The businesses range from so many things. And so one area that we walked into was agriculture, because these women want to provide for their homes, but they also want to make a bit of money to buy clothes, send their kids to school, buy a mattress, and all those minimal life needs. And what Ugwego does is that we give them the non-collateralized loans. We take the money to them. Nowadays, now that the digital banking is out here, we have a digital platform where they make their payments through our agents. And so we don't need to go to them. The challenges that these women faced originally was ownership of that money, ownership of that loan that is probably accounted for by either their spouses or families, felt like they had rights to that money. And being in a group provided the solidarity or the lack of ownership on that money, because then it belongs to the group. And so we've had women that lease plots of land and they grow either rice or they grow tomatoes. They are in different small scale agriculture products, but we've also scaled up. Some of them have grown with the bank, started with loans of 20,000, 10,000, and today their loan size is 22 million. And some of them have grown to become really big. They are wholesalers. Some of them own trucks. They go out in the villages and buy produce and come and sell it, or they even lease lands that are like 50 hectares or more. They bring women together. They combine either in a trust group or in a cooperative, and they're able to access bigger loans. The other aspect that we realized was that they were not able to determine the pricing for their products. And so we partner with off-takers. We make sure that they give them contracts, they set the price, and they give them a good price for buying their produce. And so the funding that we give them covers fertilizers, it covers labor costs, because some of these massive lands cannot be prepared by these women. And when at the time of harvest and delivering these produce to the off-takers, we are then there to provide the funding. We have a product that is called post-harvest loan, and that means we've given them the initial loan to grow the food, and once they deliver it to the off-taker and the off-taker is not in a position to pay them immediately, then we give them post-harvest loans to cover for their profit margin in the produce that they have provided to the off-taker. One of the key things that we really appreciate is government policy, because then we know the off-taker will pay for them. In cases where the off-takers have failed to pay, government has stepped in, and that has helped the business grow.
Absolutely. But then how do you attract these women? You've said the fact that most of them we've had, they're not informed. Most of them do not even know how the banks look like,
Correct. Yeah.
How do you attract them and make them feel comfortable with your bank?
It starts with recruiting the loan officers. So we go to these communities and we recruit loan officers, and they become bank staff. We train them. and they go out in the communities, they call for a meeting. And once you empower them to decide who becomes a group member, how much each person wants to borrow. And peers will tell them, you want to take 200,000, you cannot pay it. And so they organize their own amounts that they will pay, but they also provide social collateral. So when you come for a weekly repayment and one of the ladies is not there because she's not able to pay, or because she has a sick relative who is out in the hospital, the other women will pay for them. Can I just share a very small story? So one of the women in the villages, the husband was about to leave her with 6 kids because they were economically poor. And the guy would go in, in trading centers or towns to look for a job and would hardly come home. And so she joined this group and started doing business. Her name is Marika Tete. Fast forward, she started with 20,000. She then up her game, she got to about 1 million loan, and that's many cycles after. She became ill, had issues with her leg, went to the hospital. Unfortunately, she had cancer that hadn't spread, and so they cut off her leg. She goes back to the village 100% sure that the husband will leave her this time. And of course, naturally, she begins to beg. So she gets her mat every morning, goes to the roadside to beg. And the community, the group women came to her and said, what are you doing? You lost your leg, you didn't lose your mind. Come back to the group. And she said, really? You paid my loan, my previous loan, outstanding amount. I'm not able to pay you. I was in hospital for almost a year. And now you want me to come back? They said, yes, come back. When you get the money, you will pay. Today, this woman has a bicycle and somebody that rides her. She owns the bicycle. She has 5 people that work for her. She maintained her business. And now her loan size is about 1.5. It's because of that, of the women. Now, how do we maintain them? We train them. So they come and go through about 8 weeks of training before we lend to them, so that they can understand what is interest, what is saving wisely, and we also ask them to save. It's mandatory to save. And when you come back for your second loan, it has to be a multiple of the previous savings you have. So if you want a bigger loan, save more. And we maintain, we hold those savings as collateral as well for them and for their future. We earn interest on their savings. So the more they save, the bigger the loans. This woman is a testimony of what women can do together when they connect, when they're in a network. They do not only connect, they also facilitate each other to get access to resources. Off-takers respect them when they're in a group and they're powerful, and they're not bringing like 100 kilos of beans. If they're bringing tons of beans, the off-taker will listen. Or coffee growers, we have some that have gone into coffee. The greatest incredible learning that I've personally received is that these women are capable. And I'm one of the recipients of a mom that raised us. We're 11 girls in my family, and they raised us to know we are economically capable of looking after ourselves. We all went to school, fortunately for us, even if we're in a refugee status. And so women are close to my heart, not only because I work in a women bank, but because personally I have seen what an enterprising, strong woman can do in the lives of their children, or even in the lives of their communities. My mom is the greatest hero of my life, having raised us through refugee status and teaching us the values of hard work, confidence. Networks are not only enough. We need to build the capacity of these women, and we need to build their confidence. When they become group leaders, some of them are presidents, their names change. One of them was saying that nobody knew my name in my community, but when I became the president of the group, everyone calls me president. And that has changed that woman's life. And it's a joy to see what Value for Her does. I am going to be the greatest fan of this project and initiative.
Thank you very much, Christine. Of course, there's power in collaboration, and power in supporting other women in all that we do.
Yeah.
Prosper, give us a brief of what Africa Food does before we move on.
Yeah. So thank you, Fiona. So my name is Prosper, and I'm from Africa Improve Food. So what Africa Improve Food does actually is, so we are a food processing company. So we improve nutrition from what farmers produce, mainly cereals. We actually fortify those inputs, so we build them fortified, to be able to give the right micronutrient that people need, especially young children and pregnant breastfeeding mothers. So we do so, but we have also a very strong connection with what we do with the smallholder farmers. We source locally, so which has a very good link to women. We know that those people are the people doing the work, so they are very much key pillars of what we do.
Absolutely. How has sourcing from women networks really helped address some of the issues you probably have faced, that you've been facing, especially when it comes to the quality of the products that you produce?
Yeah, so as I said, so we are very much linked to smallholder farmers, mainly through cooperatives. If you look at the cooperative we work with, it's around now 160 with around 45,000 members, farmers. Among the membership, we know that so we have around 45% are women. But as I said, we also know that the women are the people doing the work. So the quality issue we have faced so far in the past were mainly linked to post-harvest handling. And if you look at the traditional way of farming, how it is done, that type of post-harvest handling activities are mainly being performed by women. So they helped us actually improve the whole value chain. What we did with the cooperatives, we will cooperate in doing post-harvest handling. So we engage also the women actually as partners. Some of them have already started setting up their own businesses to be our service providers in that area of post-harvest handling, to be able to actually to supply us quality cereals that we need for our processing.
Absolutely. 45% is a good number, but hopefully we can get the number to grow to at least 50, if not 60. Then how do you ensure that those women keep coming back and are not swallowed by the other percentage of men that's out there?
So again, it's more actually active engagement with them, promoting the role in the value chain, facilitating and taking away some of the hurdles that they might meet in linking it to us. So we fully engaged at community level, so that they are able to be to have a direct link to the company.
Very much, Prosper. I move over to you from Ignite Seed Company. Nora, as a woman entrepreneur, what is your most challenging need when it comes to the seed industry?
Thank you, Fiona. I'm Nora from Ignite Seeds Company. We are multiplying seeds like hybrid maize, beans, and soya bean. So we are multiplying it from, we have certificate from RAB. So we are seed multipliers. So I started with individually, but now I have a company. So the challenges, you've asked the challenge. The most challenges we have in seed industry or seed multipliers, we have a challenge in mechanization. We don't have machines for plowing, for planting, for harvesting. That is a big issue or a big challenge to us, because the time, if you are in season, you are running up. You are running up to cover everything in that season. So if you don't have machines, it keeps you to delay in season. So use casual laborers, which can take a long time to finish that job. So that is a big challenge. So in planting and after post-harvesting, we don't have post-harvesting machines, which can help us to quick processing of our seeds, because we are in quick time, you processing it and then you go to the market to get money. So we don't have those machines, but we are lucky for us because we are in Agra with Agra. I am a grantee for the Agra. Soon they are going to buy for us the machines, the processing machine, post-harvest processing machines. So we are lucky. Our consortium, we are lucky because of Agra. So that one, it can be, we are going to overcome it. So that is a big challenge. So other challenge, I've got some answers from banks. The most issue to us is financial institutions. They give us money, we go there to get loans, and they give like high interest rate, and we cannot cover that high interest rate. And then they ask for the collateral securities, and unfortunately we don't have that collateral securities, but I have answered within that panel. So I'm going to contact them, and then I think we are going to go through that, because after we are working with some outgrowers. As a seed multiplier, we don't have a large land, and then we contact other farmers like cooperatives, which they have a large land, and then we give them a contract. We make a contract with them, and they multiply seeds for us. We give seeds from Rabo, we buy basic seeds, and then we give to the cooperatives, and then they multiply it. But we go through it, we do inspections with the RAB and RICA, and then after that, if they have harvested it, they need money. They need money. You have like two cooperatives, and then they want a money like 100 millions, and then you don't have money for that time. So you need to contact the financial institutions to give those money, that much of money. So within that time, we get stuck, and then we use small land, small cooperatives. But if we get access to the money, to the financial institutions, we do a big thing. So another challenge is unskilled people. Most of the farmers, like our friends, they have they leave the job, they leave that one to being a seed multiplier because they lack skills. They feel that they are burdening them, like RAB. If RAB, they come and say, why don't you do this? Because of ignorance, they say that, no, I can leave this. So that people of unskilled people, they leave the job, unfortunately, which is not good. Another challenge we meet, okay, in Rwanda, we are lucky, we have a market, we have that system of smart nkunganire. So we are selling our products through smart nkunganire, and then the agro dealers, they capture that smart nkunganire, our stores or our products through MOPA. So there is some system. So that system, the agro dealer, they give you some part of money of that man of 1 kg of seed, and the other one is for government subsidy. So the challenge we have, we are not getting that amount of subsidy. They delay for paying us. They take a long time to paying us. So that is a big challenge to us. But if it can be solved, they can help us. If we supply those seeds, and then we get money on time. Thank you.
No, thank you very much. And I'm glad you came with a whole list of your challenges. But you are here with the industry players, you're here with policy makers, you're here with people who will change your story today.
Yeah.
If they're to change your story today, what will you tell them? Like, this is what we need. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. The they can change, they can pay us on time, like that one of subsidy. And yeah, because we need money, we are making money, we are in business. I have told the RAB, Rwanda Agriculture Board, I told them that I am in business because I leave everything and then I decided to be an entrepreneur in seeds in agriculture sector. So if they pay me back soon, it can be good because I can buy those industries because there is so many needs in seed sector, and then I can buy those lands, big land, and I can hire many people to work for me. I don't know.
Thank you very much, my finalists. But before I leave you as a journalist, if I was to ask for a headline, in your specific capacities from Kipepeo, what you're going to do to ensure that you bring or supporting more women in agribusiness, what headline would it be? What headline would you give me that as Kipepeo, this is what we're going to do? Over to you.
Fiona, to be honest, the past year and a half has really showed us that the one industry that can survive the test of time and COVID and anything else that might come is agriculture. We'll always need food, we'll always need to eat. And women being the key players in this industry will not only support them and their families, but the entire community, the country, and the continent at large. When a woman owns something, she doesn't own it for herself. It's for her family, it's for her kids, and the generations to come. So being able to drive many more women into agriculture, it will support our country's growth and create the path for the next generation to actually see that, as my fellow panelist here said, she's inspired by the fact that her mother was able to raise 11 kids. So a child being able to grow and see that my mother was able to succeed in this industry, he or she will be able to also do further and be better at it. But also remembering the fact that when a woman wins, the continent wins, the country wins, the family wins. So I would encourage women, starting with myself and many others, to venture into agriculture. And earlier on, the Minister of Youth, earlier on, the Minister of Youth mentioned the fact that young people, we should be more interested in the agriculture sector now more than ever. And using the knowledge that we have, we've been fortunate to have access to technology, to go to school, so we can advance the agriculture that we used to know of back then, thinking that agriculture is only farming, but now going into processing, exporting, and the whole value chain. Thank you.
Thank you. My takeaway: if women win, the continent wins. So it is important to have more women. Kristen, to you.
The headline for me would be the bridge between buyers, financiers, and farmers, as stipulated in the keynote today. Attracting everyone to understand what is available, the information out there, the financing that is available. There's a lot of financing. The government has done an incredible job of introducing crop insurance and BDF guarantees, allowing farmers or providing that information that the farmers need. They talked about interest rates. The high risk factor of lending to agriculture it attracts high interest rates, and providing collateral, like she said, in form of guarantees or in form of non-subsistence farming, massive pieces of land that these cooperatives or these groups will own, provides the guarantee that the institution, the financial institution, needs. But the key thing would be information. The key thing would be collateral through crop insurance provided by the government, but also collateral in terms of leasehold of land. Land is one very expensive aspect in Rwanda specifically, but even in other countries in the world. And so the more they own this land, the higher their capacity to borrow will be. Number three, they need to be in bigger groups. Smaller trust groups means smaller agriculture output, and that inhibits the ability to dictate what the pricing is going to be. And the last piece would be digital. We need to digitize all the services, all the value chain. Now that we even are in the middle of a pandemic, which is the biggest challenge that women have felt. I was talking to the minister that the greatest hit sector in our country specifically is women businesses at the bottom of the pyramid. They've been hit big time. They've eaten up all their capital, all their produce or stock, and yet they're still economically active. So what does a bank do? How do you relent someone that is unable to pay back, but also whose ability to trade has reduced from 7 days to 3 days that they have to go to the market? And so sitting together and providing that information, how do you sell? What is the right pricing? What are the government opportunities that have been put out there? What does BDF guarantee mean? Some of them don't really even understand what it is. What does AGRA give or provide in terms of support, and other institutions that are out here supporting our women? So the headline would be the gap, the bridge. They need to see that bridge because they see challenges, like she was saying. They see challenges, non-skilled labor, they see late payments. On that note, please come to the bank and we'll give you post-harvest loans to cover the gap between government paying you and, but factor in the interest in your pricing. So that, or as a banker, I would tell you add an interest rate for late payment. Every month they delay, you earn X percentage. So you come to me, I give you the money at, half the interest that you're charging the government. I know that's not easy, but allowing these businesses to know what is the information out there, what is their right. Can you actually charge the government percentage if they're late in paying you? But being able to cover those challenges and bridging the gap between what is available and what the ladies are able to access. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Christian. Bridging the gap. Prosper, over to you.
Yeah, thanks. For me, it would be a clear and outspoken recognition of the key role of women in all the layers of society. If I look at specifically at what we do, we know it's our, so the strongest foundation of what we do, from the farm when we get our raw material from, to the consumption of our finished product, nutritious finished product, that are particularly meant for the first 1,000 days of the kids and for the whole family. They are the decision maker in that area as well. So for me, it's a key recognition of the role in the society, and speak it out. It's recognizing that that's how it is. Yeah, and not only in our typical area of business, but this is similar to other type of economic activities as well. So it can be extrapolated to all type of economic activities and societies.
Thank you very much, Prosper. Nora, as we sum up.
Okay, thank you. I can say I call all the women to come in sit, because it's a good business. You earn a lot of money. Yeah, I call all the women to come and join me. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Please, a round of applause for my panelists as we go back to our seats. Thank you very much. I now call upon Sabdio Dido, Head of Gender and of course Inclusiveness, to take us through maybe a... Thank you.
Thank you very much, panelists and panel moderator Fiona. We really come into the tail end of the event, and this session was supposed to be a Q&A session. We are going to skip that, but I urge you all to post your questions on chat, because we are going to respond to them at the end of this. We are going to respond. We are going to develop a response and we will post it on Value for Her platform. So again, that is a way of welcoming you on board the platform. So for now, I'm going to invite Jennifer Byrne, the head of partnerships for AGRA, but also the acting managing director for AGRF, to give us very briefly, of course, the AGRF Secretariat is here, and to talk to us a little bit about the AGRF Secretariat and also the event that is coming up very briefly, and then we will swiftly move to the closing remarks. Thank you, Jennifer.
So good morning, everybody. I trust that you are all as energized and inspired as I am because of all these wonderful women that have been on the panel this morning. I at least am inspired and I'm very energetic. I see a lot of opportunities. So all of you, please expect me to flood your mailboxes, your WhatsApp messages in the coming week to take this to a different level. So, the African Green Revolution Forum, one of the biggest convenings in Africa that you all probably all are familiar with. And I think it's actually fantastic being in this room and seeing all these different opportunities and thinking critically, how can we amplify the voices of all these women to ensure that they don't only resonate across Africa, but also across the world. Because this year is a very special year. We have the Global UN Food System Summit, we have COP26, we have the Nutrition Food Summit, we have a lot of dynamics on the continents as well. And as the AGRF, we're very committed to strengthen the voice of Africa and also to make sure that we strengthen the voice of women. A few takeaways. The theme for this year of the AGRF will be our pathway towards recovery and resilience in Africa, because we're in our second year of COVID-19, and this pandemic has amplified all the different challenges that we've been facing in our food system and our agriculture systems for decades. And one of the things that I'm convinced about, that this is the time to really take action. And that women voices, women productivity, women as employees, as leaders, as champions, and also as producers will be leading the front. And as the AGRF platform, we will be supporting that. So just a couple of key takeaways for me. I was very much inspired by really the voice of some of the women entrepreneurs. And in the coming weeks, I will be working with consultants and program developers, etc. And I will take your input on board. It's also very inspiring to be in Rwanda and listening to the Rwandese leadership, because as the AGRF, a lot of our innovations were actually incubated when Rwanda was also hosting the AGRF. For example, the agribusiness deal room that connects women entrepreneurs with off-takers, cooperatives with off-takers, but also with financial institutions and equity providers. And I think that a lot of the input that you've shared today is also very critical. We will be hosting the AGRF in the first week of September in East Africa. We will be announcing and launching that next month. And trust me, that a lot of the input that you have provided will be part of the program. You will see it reflected, but also please hold me accountable, because the AGRF Secretariat has recently shifted to Kigali. We're hosted in the RDB. So you're all welcome to provide your input and also your reflections and also your demands in terms of how we can strengthen the voice of women and how we can strengthen also this fantastic platform that has been launched here in Rwanda. Consider me a partner, a very committed one, and I'm also very committed to be the strong women leader that you called for. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And I'll call upon Mr. Jean-Paul to take us through the closing. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Time flies. We are coming towards the end of this wonderful session. I really want to recognize and thank everyone who played a role. There are those you saw and there are those you didn't see. There are some ladies here, Barbara, Nadine, and others who sent you email and worked with you. It wouldn't have been possible without them. And as you have seen, Agra leave its talk. At our office, we have majority of women, and you can see they do a good job. And as we come to a close, our Vice President, Fadel Ndiam, who has been in Agra for a long time, who is a friend of Rwanda, has agreed to give us our closing remarks. Fadel, over to you.
Thank you very much, JP, and good morning, good afternoon, colleagues. Firstly, let me first acknowledge the excellencies who attended this meeting, starting with our own Minister of Agriculture and Animal Resources and your colleagues from the cabinet, appreciating the contribution of the ambassador of USAID, but all the private sector leaders who attended this meeting. I think, as JP mentioned, I think I'm one of the few men who are so humble and not intimidated by seeing so many powerful women driving, the pathway to inclusive agricultural transformation. So mine will be mainly to provide some, thank you remarks to some of the participants, but I want to build it on 4 major points, listening to this whole conversation. Firstly, I want to acknowledge the whole concept of value for her. It has been positioned as the first women agribusiness digital marketplace. I think in itself, it really translates the vision of the leadership of Agra and partners to really put a lot of emphasis on empowerment of women and realizing the potential that women leadership will bring to this continent. So that's the first element that I want to highlight. And the fact that we are ending this cycle in Rwanda is quite telling, because we've been into 10 countries to have the launch of Value for Her, create a moment for networking, advocacy, and also connecting women-owned entrepreneurs to partners and resources. I think having the grand finale in Rwanda is quite fantastic for several reasons, because probably Rwanda provide the face, the voice, and the tone of women empowerment. And I was really very pleased to hear our friend from, I think it's Claire, who mentioned one of the secret of Rwanda's success in driving inclusive agricultural transformation on the continent. When at the highest level, the president articulated what he's framed as a common sense choice of really building on the potential of half of the population and putting his trust and backing up women leadership. I think that's a significant political and strategic choices that really made what we're seeing in Rwanda possible. So I want to applaud it, to thank you, and really echo what my boss, Dr. Kalibata, mentioned, that we have a lot to learn from Rwanda and the way you really taken up this issue. I mean, as JP mentioned, I'm one of the big friends of Rwanda, and what strike me with my friend and my bosses is the significant amount of humility, despite the great leadership that they provide. And I think we can take advantage of that leadership where the work is done before the talk, but where also we can really engage and learn together as we have done today. So why Rwanda, and why Rwanda is such a fantastic place? But listening to the different panels that were very well orchestrated and managed, I could hear some of the key ingredients of the Rwanda success through the testimony of the Minister of Youth, Family, and other ministers and other dignitaries. The fact that deliberate choices have been made in terms of technical, institutional, and policy innovation that will support women in a significant way. Remove all the bureaucracy, create dedicated support system, listen to the challenges, and build a delivery system that will address them. I really want to thank the panel discussion, really, which brought out significant insight on what are the key elements that we can learn from the Rwanda experience. One of the things I would like to highlight very quickly is the fact that you give the floor to the entrepreneurs to listen to their struggle, their success, and frustration. And I think the end of the last panel discussion, where we're trying to get the headline, I found it very, very interesting. I would be one of the people who would vote that when women win, the continent wins, which was articulated by the panelists. But I'm also humbled by the testimony of our sister who said, come and see, this is real. Seeing is believing. In between, you have the gap to fill. What does it mean for all of us moving forward? I think building on this conversation, we should continue the networking and the connection that have started today. I think we are very lucky that we'll be partnering with the government of Rwanda to drive AGRF across the continent and make Value for Her one of the platforms that will continue to champion women empowerment causes, but also to showcase successful women entrepreneurs. Second learning point for all of us and for all the continent is, what is the enabling environment? What are the political choices? What are the support system? But also what are the feedback loop we build in the system to make sure that we continue to improve the way we support women entrepreneurs. With this few words, I want to end by recognizing the great job of Vanessa and team, Subdio. I think your leadership is amazing. I think we are so impressed that you can help us drive such a platform across the continent and do it in partnership with all our supporters. I also want to recognize our Piata partners. I mean, some of you refer to AGRA's work in Rwanda. I just want to highlight that it's really the outcome of a partnership between AGRA, the government of Rwanda, and some of the key partners, including USAID, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Rockefeller Foundation, FCDO, the German Corporation, etc., who really put their trust in the vision articulated by AGRA of an inclusive agricultural transformation that put the issue of smallholder farmers, especially women farmers, at the heart of our inclusive agricultural transformation. I also want to recognize the leadership role of Mastercard Foundation, which really focus significantly on empowering youth and women. And I think from the learning and from the insight we got from this seminar, we are able to spread the message and make sure that all partners can hear and learn from it. With this few words, I want to wish you a healthy, I know you are going to have a meal. Bon appetit to all of you. Keep safe. And it's really a pleasure to be joining you from Nairobi. So that's all I have to say, JP. And again, thank you again for an amazing panel discussion. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Deputy President. We appreciate it. Thank you very much. As we close now, just to announce that the digital platform is active. Please engage with it, get to learn more, chat with the people there, get to know what's going on with Value for Her. And just to remind you, the office of AGRA is at Kigali Heights, 5th floor, the office of AGRF, RDB, 1st floor. And yes, bon appetit, the lunch will be at Serena. But before you go, a group photo. It is important to remember the times. Please, if you can come up, and then we can have a group photo, then we can go for lunch. Yes, social distancing is very important. Thank you very much. Please come forward. We can have a group photo. Then we can keep the conversations and networking going. Thank you.